Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3 4, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3 4, testing 1 2 3 4. Hockey has a long history in Buffalo dating back to the 1920s. The game has long been a part of the community. The Buffalo Norsemen were one short chapter in our local hockey history. The team played the 1975-76 season in the old NAHL, the same minor league that inspired the movie Slapshot. The Norsemen called the Tonawanda Sports Center in North Tonawanda their home rink, and while they didn't last long, the Norsemen had an awesome logo of a miniature Viking and a unique green and gold color scheme. Vintage Ice Hockey celebrates defunct teams like the Norsemen and many others, and this week is offering a special pre-order on Buffalo Norsemen jerseys. The jerseys feature fully embroidered logos, all striping is hand-stitched, and stitched names and numbers are available. Vintage Ice Hockey also offers Norsemen tees and hoodies, as well as apparel for many other defunct teams, including the Buffalo Bisons and Broome County Dusters. Norsemen jerseys are available only for pre-order through September 27th, so act now to secure your piece of Buffalo hockey history. Visit VintageIceHockey.com. Good evening and welcome inside the Buffalo State Ice Arena as the Nickel City Hockey Network brings you live coverage of the home opener for Buffalo State College Club Hockey. And it's a crosstown rivalry with the University at Buffalo here as the Bengals opponent tonight. Hello and welcome to the Ivy League Pharmacy pregame show. Hello, I'm Aaron Alpern, happy to bring you the call of tonight's matchup in the Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League. Joined tonight by another new addition to the Nickel City Network hockey team. On color tonight, please welcome Ryan Tantalo, and a perfect night to have you here, Ryan, as Ryan is the public address announcer and play-by-play voice for both of the UB club teams.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm honored to be here, extremely excited. This is my first game with UB hockey. I joined midway through the season last year, so it's an extremely exciting night, and I really appreciate you bringing me in. So UB opening their season, they look to return to their 2020 form when they won the UNY CHL championship, and a few changes went on throughout the offseason. They brought in a new coach, a former player, Cody Felser, who was part of the team last year. His brother Dylan still plays for them. They also brought down a few players from the ACHA squad at UB, including Tommy McCarron, who averaged a point a game in 21 games last year, as well as Dylan Foresta, who scored 16 points in 27 games. So their top line will look to continue their strong play, Tulo and Tyree, some familiar names, but the real addition here will be the depth for UB as they enhance their second and third lines. And finally, the goaltender for UB, Ryan O'Donnell, they call him OD, a familiar face and a stabilizing force. And yes, the high-powered offense of UB draws the attention, but if they want to advance far and repeat as 2020 champions and get some revenge against Buff State tonight, O'Donnell is going to be a key factor in that.
Certainly Ryan O'Donnell, a very familiar face in this rivalry. A lot of familiarity between these two teams in general. This will be meeting number 10 in the Lifetime Series, at least as far as this version of Buffalo State College Club Hockey goes, this version founded in 2017. So 10 different matchups between these two schools, and pretty tight in terms of the history.
It has been tight. UB with a 5-4 record. But as it says here, Buffalo State has won all 4 of their games in a row, including a 4-2 victory in last year's UNY CHL playoffs.
So 9 matchups before this. UB won the first 5. Buff State won the next 4. We'll see exactly what matchup number 10 has to offer, and it's fitting that Buffalo State has UB here for the home opener. The Bengals' first ever home game was against these same Bulls. Back in April of 2018, UB won that one by a score of 8-7. We're also celebrating a little bit of local hockey history here tonight with our game sponsor, Vintage Ice Hockey, bringing defunct hockey teams back to life. This week only, get a piece of Buffalo hockey history. Until Tuesday, you can pre-order a Buffalo Norseman jersey from Vintage Ice Hockey. These are awesome jerseys that are really as one-of-a-kind as the team was. The Norsemen only lasted 1 year, 1975-1976, in the old North American Hockey League. That's the same league that inspired the classic movie Slapshot. So the stories of the Norsemen live on. You can learn more about their history as well as get your Buffalo Norsemen apparel, vintageicehockey.com. And this is the second game of the season for the Buffalo State Bengals. First game of the season for UB, as last week the Bengals were in action on the road, a divisional game at Brockport. And it was a 7-6 finish. It was a wild game there in Brockport, back and forth between the two teams. Bengals were led by 2 goals each for Luke Stotz, as well as Ben Gallivan. And UB just kicking off the season here tonight, as mentioned. However, one member of their team has already had a bunch of competition under his belt. Actually, he's not going to be in the lineup tonight, probably because of an injury that he sustained in some of the hockey that he's already played here in September. Ryan, explain a little bit more about where Hector Vargas was playing last week.
So last week, Hector Vargas traveled down to South Florida to play for Team Puerto Rico in the 2022 LATAM Cup hosted by Amerigol. It took place at the Florida Panthers Ice Den in Coral Springs. The event was sponsored by the NHL and the NHLPA. It featured teams from all over Latin America as well as other non-traditional markets like the Middle East, and Hector and his 2 brothers both competed for the D2 Puerto Rico team, and it was a great event that really showcased the fact that Latin Americans are interested in hockey and the sport of hockey is growing in some of those nations.
And you were there calling some of the games, so you got to see firsthand how the sport is growing in Latin American countries. How impressive was the action on the ice?
Well, not only was the action on the ice impressive, the skill of the players was no doubt at a very high level. But what really stole my breath was the crowds and the atmosphere at these games. really like a World Cup atmosphere or a soccer atmosphere that we're used to from these nations, and the fans bringing it to a new atmosphere, a new style of sport, and an ice rink for really the first time in their histories. Many of these countries don't even have ice rinks in their nations, but the players have traveled far and wide. They learned how to play roller hockey to understand the sport, and it's really starting to take hold.
You're going to hear a little bit more about that on the podcast UNY CHL Rinkside coming up this week, as Ryan will have a little bit more with his conversation with Hector Vargas. We can learn a little bit more about that. That will be coming out on Wednesday. We're about ready for face-off here between the Buffalo State Bengals and the UB Bulls. We'll be ready to head down to the ice surface to hear the national anthem, and we'll be ready for puck drop just a few moments away here from the Buffalo State Ice Arena. Buffalo State College Club Hockey is sponsored by Ivy Leaf Pharmacy, a locally owned neighborhood pharmacy in Kenmore for over 60 years. By Militello Realty, Western New York's premier commercial real estate broker. By Pool Mart. For any pool, hot tub, or patio need, Pool Mart is your fun store. By 412 Communications, the new gold standard for small business digital media solutions. By Envious Gameware, designers of high-end custom hockey uniforms, bags, and apparel, and the official uniform provider of Buffalo State College Club Hockey. And by Colvin Cleaners. For dry cleaning, wash and fold, tailoring, and more, Colvin Cleaners is who the Bengals trust to keep their uniforms the sharpest in the league. This is the Nickel City Hockey Network, Western New York's new broadcast home for college, high school, and junior hockey. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Buffalo State Ice Arena, and thank you for joining us for tonight's matchup in the Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League between the University at Buffalo and the Buffalo State Bengals. We ask that you now please rise and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. It's the home opener for Buffalo State College Club Hockey, and they're taking on a very familiar opponent. It is the crosstown rival, the UB Bulls, here for Game 1 of their season. Good evening. I'm Aaron Elpern, joined in the call tonight by Ryan Tantalo. Also have Jeff Jazarowski as our camera operator this evening as the Bengals and Bulls renew their rivalry, the 10th time these two schools have met in their history. As we mentioned in the pregame show, it's been a tight back and forth between the two schools. First 5 meetings going to UB, the next 4 going to Buff State. Ryan, I'd be interested to see what we have in store here for tonight's game.
It certainly will. And who else would you rather begin your season against than your toughest rival, a rival that you've had about as close of a history with as can be?
And they met in the playoffs last year, a tight back-and-forth game. It was a 4-2 decision going to Buffalo State, but it was a very close game throughout. In fact, it was a last-second empty net goal that ended up deciding the difference between as a 2-goal game. We're underway here as the rematch gets set going. Puck in the Bengals zone right now, sent up the left-hand wall. And Jankowski looking to get it out of the zone. Does get it out of the zone, but unable to maintain possession, and UB takes it back inside their own blue line. Setting up the breakout there is Martyr. Cross ice to Tyree, and Tyree has some room to dump it into the Bengals zone. Back there after it is Dene. Unable to get a hold of that one as two Bulls quickly on him, but that pass comes right out in front and all the way back down into the UB end, and will be have to set up there by goaltender Ryan O'Donnell. O'Donnell looking to catch the Bengals in a change there, gets it quickly up ice, so Shea dumping it into the offensive zone. Now the Bengals trying to start the breakout here on the near side. Comes up to Gosa, but they can't get it out of the zone. LaCursey keeping it deep in the zone. And now behind the net, the puck is swung quickly out in front by McCarron. Nobody there, though, able to find that pass right out in front of the net, but kept in at the point as UB putting some pressure on here. Good defensive play there by Alex Gosen as he neutralized the stick of the UB player in a prime shooting area. Puck ends up coming all the way back down into the UB territory. Just a little bit more than a minute into the action here. UB with a little bit of the early going, a little bit of the better play here in the early going of the action.
And that I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
That second line, the renewed second line for UB of Foresta and McCarron, off to a hot start, already generating some chances here.
A little bit of physical play there from UB coming as well as two different hits laid in the Bengals zone. Two different players going to the ice, and now the puck comes out to the neutral zone where both teams battle for possession. Eventually settled down by Pauly, and he retreats back inside of his own blue line to start the breakout. Cross ice to Brandon LaCursey, and he sends it back to his defensive partner as the Bulls complete a change. Losing possession on that pass as it comes into the neutral zone. Bengals sending it right back into the offensive zone as Stanishewski sends it in and then heads for a change. Pauly again looking to set up the breakout in behind his net. 2 minutes into the action here from the Buffalo State Ice Arena. Still looking for the game's first goal. Cohen carrying it out of the zone for UB as the Bulls have a little bit of pace into the offensive end. Pass comes across. Dylan Felser just unable to reach a hold of that one. And now he's battling for a loose puck in behind the net. Felser's backhand pass doesn't find anyone. It comes up the left-hand wall, and now the Bengals carrying it out of the zone. This is Luke Stotz into the offensive end. Stotz with a nice move around one man, tries to get it back to the point. Looking for Cole Newman trailing on that play, but unable to connect on that pass. And it's back all the way into the Bengals territory where Pernetta will pick it up. Tries starting up the left side, but he takes a big hit there, and the Bulls able to keep it in. Now Ryan Hahn's going to start the breakout up the right side, but it hits the referee's leg, and that allows UB to keep it in with Daddario. Behind the net, he's got Lamy there. Daddario again now in that far corner, circling out of that corner and then cycling it down low. Bass now looking for a pass, just feeds it around behind the net as UB setting up shop here in the Bengals zone. Another loose puck picked up by a UB player, comes back to the point, shot taken quickly there by Abbott. Kind of a one-touch shot right in on goal. Good save made there by A.J. White as Josh Abbott slid in from his point position to let that shot go. And Bengals cover up for a whistle. Will be a defensive zone faceoff coming up with 16:55 to go in the period.
I don't think I've ever seen this UB CHF team have that type of offensive possession and passing in the offensive zone. I'm really impressed early in the game. Certainly
a quick start here in these first 3 minutes from the Bulls. They've had almost all the pressure and all the chances here so far. We'll see what sort of response the Bengals can come up with as Stanishewski starts the breakout up the near side. Ryan Miller trying to get it out of the zone, but it's kept in at the point by Weingart. Weingart walks in and lets a shot go. Goes off the arm of A.J. White. Up and out of play into the protective netting, and another faceoff coming up. UB sending a fresh line out there as we have 16:37 to go here in a scoreless first period.
That first line's back out there for UB. We'll see if they can get their second shift, try and get the first goal across.
They had a good first shift. Might as well get them out there right away. Bengals' first line is out there against them this time, and they get to clear the zone, and now Brett Sardina putting some pressure on here in the Bulls' end. Puck comes up the far side. Bulls executing on their breakout. Now a 2-on-1 setting up. Tulo into the offensive zone. Takes it himself. Takes the shot alone. And it looks like A.J. White just able to squeeze the pads together there. Good patience there by number 20, Matt Tulo, the Bulls' leading scorer from last year. He had that 2-on-1 set up. He had a guy in front of the net, but he was going to take it himself. He showed a nice bit of patience. Got himself a really good look in front. Good save by A.J. White.
It's time for Tulo to trademark that move, just rushing straight into the net and using his physicality and his puck control to try and create chances.
Certainly the
player that the Bengals knew to watch for last year. It seems that there are a couple more to keep an eye on this year for this Bulls team. Tulo again with an opportunity on the doorstep. Another save there by A.J. White, as the Bulls have had the all of the activity in the Bengals end here in the first 4 minutes. Puck does come back down into Buffalo territory, and Ryan O'Donnell covers that one up for a whistle. So the Bengals going to get an offensive zone face-off here. Just under 16 minutes to go here in period number 1. Face-off to O'Donnell's left. Tulo wins that draw cleanly, and now LaCourcie starts the breakout. Sends a pass behind his own net, and now some room for the Bulls to operate on the far side. Pewarski with a really nice cross-ice pass. He's got Tyree. Tyree looking for that pass in front. He had Tulo driving to the crease, but a good defensive play as the Bengals player got a stick in that lane. Ryan Hahn looking to start the Bengals breakout now. Can't get it out in his first attempt. Joe Lotempio helping out a little bit to make it sure it goes through the neutral zone. His dash into the offensive end, though, was cut off by the UB defenseman, Brandon LaCourcie. And now LaCourcie has it in his own near corner here, looking to start move up ice for the Bulls. Gets it to Tyree, but he's got a man on him. Sardina causing some troubles there on the forecheck, but eventually picking that one up is Tommy McCarron. Now McCarron has some speed through the neutral zone. Bengals with 4 men back. McCarron only one there in the offensive zone for UB, just smartly dumps it into the corner. Luke Stotts picking it up there for the Bengals and looking to get it out of the zone. Does get it out, but Pauly finding possession there. A little bit of room for the Bulls to start it up ice. That pass, though, is wayward, and it goes all the way into the Bengals zone and will be called an icing. So we have a stoppage in play. 14:52 now to go here in period number 1. Faceoff coming back down into the Bulls zone as we look for the game's first goal, Ryan.
5 minutes in, it definitely seems like UB is on the doorstep of getting one across, but at the same time, Buffalo State heading back down. They've had a couple chances, a couple face-offs in the UB zone, but a little bit of trouble maintaining possession.
Yeah, both times they've had those offensive zone draws, it was a UB face-off win, and then shortly thereafter, just like this, managed to get the puck out of the zone and drive in towards the offensive end. Step on the defender. This could be an opportunity down low. Taking that shot was Tommy McCarron. Maybe just rolled on him before he got that shot away. Looking to go upstairs toward the top corner of the net, just a little bit too high to find the cage. Puck is sent up ice by the Bengals, too far for its intended target. That one's going to go for icing against Buff State. So now we'll have a face-off back down into the Bengals territory. 14:24 now to go here in period number 1. Bulls seem to be knocking on the door. They've had plenty of opportunities in the offensive zone here. We'll see if they can continue that momentum.
The UB speed has stood out to me in the breakout and the transition game. What I'm really interested to see is how they do setting up in the O-zone like they are right now.
And when a face-off there cleanly, shot was taken, might have gotten deflected on its way in there. Foresta's shot doesn't end up on net, but now he's got the puck in the neutral zone, stops and starts, and carries it back into the Bengals zone. Drops a pass there from McCarron. McCarron tries to then slide it into the slot. Bengals with the opportunity with numbers to move it up ice. Stotts across the blue line, drops that pass back. He's got Mendick. Mendick lets a hard wrist shot go. Good save there as Ryan O'Donnell tested for the first time 6 minutes into the action. Stotts with the puck again, looking to carry it back into the Bulls zone. He's got a man right on him, just dumps it in deep into the zone. Mendick picking it up here on the near wall, making sure it stays deep in the Bulls territory as the Bengals make a change. Picked up in the corner by Weingart. He's got plenty of room to skate it up the right side of his net. His pass, though, a little bit too far for its intended target, and that one's going to go the length of the ice, but we might have a penalty coming up here as maybe a little bit of a late hit after that pass came up ice, and it appears that it's going to be number 18 for the Bengals, Jankowski, heading to the penalty box. So the UB Bulls with a little bit of the momentum here in the early going. Now they get an opportunity on the power play as the Bengals taking the first penalty of this evening's game.
That's a bit of unfortunate timing, too, for Buff State because that shot by Mendick, who picked it up in the slot, was their best opportunity of the game. And those are the type of chances that you saw them bury last week against Brockport, moving it in along the far side, getting the defense to overcommit, and moving it to the slot.
So UB now looking to set up their power play as they get it into the zone, dumping it in behind the net, trying to get that zone attack set up, but the Bengals able to get that clear, kill off a little bit of time in the power play. Buffalo State penalty to number 18, Mike Jankowski. 2 minutes for kneeing. Jankowski, 2 minutes for kneeing. Time of the penalty, 6:25. Bulls getting it set up here in the offensive zone. Weingart slows it down. Cross-ice pass. Slap shot taken off the post, then off the leg of A.J. White, just barely trickling wide.
as a big slap shot there let go. And it was Brian O'Shea teeing that one up, getting a lot on it, getting it past A.J. White, just couldn't beat the post, came directly out into A.J. White's pads and then went back out the other side into the corner. Net ends up coming off in the process, and after a little bit of a wild scramble there, the Bengals avoid one.
That's got to be nerve-wracking if you're Buffalo State. The speed that came off of O'Shea's stick with was impressive.
Minute 21 now left in the Bengals penalty as Sardina unable to clear it out of the zone. Oliver now with a chance in tight. Good stick save there by A.J. White as Oliver had a prime shooting location, let a hard wrist shot go. Puck comes slowly in front of A.J. White, and he covers that one up. Gets a whistle, allows his team to make a change and get 4 new penalty killers out there. Minute 10 to go in the penalty to Jankowski.
That Oliver line's going to stay out there for UB with Felser and the new addition of Foresta.
Foresta with the puck on his stick here. Stick handles away from a couple different Bengals players. Now looks to get it set up in the corner. Good move there to get away from Brennan. Feeds that one in front. He had Oliver there, just a hair out of his reach. Shot coming in from the point. That was Martyr letting that one go. A.J. White deflects it off into the corner, but it stays in the zone. UB setting up again. Foresta across to Martyr. One-time shot right in on goal. White had a good clear look at that one. Made the save. Deflected the rebound off to the corner. Now the Bengals trying to find possession here with Brennan, but unable to do so. As settling it down and skating it back towards the point there was number 25, Patrick Brady, just unable to settle that one down and keep it in the zone, so he has to retreat back to his own zone. Now he's got a head of steam after he circles his own net, carrying it through the neutral zone with 23 seconds to go in the power play. Attempted to get that pass back to the point, but right onto the stick of Joe Lotempio. Lotempio sending that one the length of the ice. Now 13 seconds to go in the power play. Both teams making a couple of changes as Jared Martyr skates it through the neutral zone. Looks to make a move there around one man, but finds possession of it yet again. Takes a little bit of a bump, and he gets it to Felser. Felser down low to Bass. He tries to get that give-and-go play set up there. Just a good defensive stick to get in the way, and now the Bengals, after that penalty, looking to get it up ice quickly. Mendick into the offensive zone, takes a hit, loses control of it as Felser laid the shoulder into him. Gosen, though, picking it up and keeping it in the zone, trying to set up that down-low pressure as he had Adam Brennan coming in from his point position. Good play to clear the zone as that was Nick Pauley making sure his team got possession and got it out. And in the ensuing zone entry, the Bengals go in just off sides. So we'll have a face-off in the neutral zone as the two teams now playing 5-on-5 with a little bit more than 11 minutes left in period number 1.
During that UB penalty or the UB power play, I was very impressed by White's ability. He made 4 or 5 saves during that 2-minute minor, and I think that's one thing that Buffalo State has on their side, having played a game already. White is used to the game speed and facing shots. We'll see if O'Donnell maybe has some catching up to do.
Loose puck here in the neutral zone as the Bengals get it into the offensive end. Cole Newman now putting some pressure on Abbott. Lays a bump on him in the corner, but Abbott able to get that puck up ice, but that one just a little bit too far for Lammy. Bengals keeping it in. Gosen trying to get that one down low, but unable to connect on that one as now it's going to be Bass through the neutral zone. Lammy now in front on the backhand, lets a shot go just wide. Bengals trying to get it out, but it's kept in here at the point. Pauley makes sure it stays down low in the Bengals zone. Now a battle for the puck in behind the net. It's going to be Lammy picking it up and making sure that cycle play continues, getting it to Bass. Bass quickly out in front, just in the skates of Everett. That would have been a nice opportunity in front if that one had been on the tape. Another opportunity to counter, get right back into the offensive zone. Pass is slid in front there, but unable to connect as Lammy was looking for a man in front, but it's still kept in the zone. Briefly, though, is now the Bengals with a chance here. Miller finding Sardina. Sardina with a little break. Lets the shot go, but it just rolls on him as he lets it go. Goes up and over the net. Maybe O'Donnell got a piece of that one, but good opportunity there in tight with a fast-developing play for the Bengals. Unable to get that one past O'Donnell, though, and it stays a 0-0 game.
That was an impressive breakout after forcing the turnover at the blue line, picking it up in neutral territory along the near boards, and then just flipping it in and charging in on net for a nice attempt.
Maybe a little bit of the pressure that UB had put on Buff State for the first 10 minutes of this game create a little bit of complacency perhaps in their own zone because they've been in good position throughout the game has UB. Maybe broke down there a little bit in the Bengals' speed, able to take advantage of it, get a little 2-on-1 opportunity. O'Donnell, though, making the stop. Just past the 10-minute mark of the period as Tulo carries it back into the Bengals zone. Great move to get himself free around Brennan. Lets that shot go in another post. That one hit the near post right up around where it meets with the crossbar. And that's the only thing keeping this one a 0-0 game. Puck comes back to the point, kept in, shot taken there, but it goes wide. It comes off the backboards and now on the near side. Ryan Miller with a chance to get it out. Can't get it past Tulo. Sardina, though, helps out, make sure it gets out of the zone. Now Miller trying to dig that loose puck out of his skates in the neutral end. Sardina lets the shot go. Finds the top corner of the net over the arm of O'Donnell. 1-0 Bengals, as it was Brett Sardina getting his second goal of the year. He had the first goal last week. Gets the first goal of this game here this week, and it's a 1-0 Buff State lead.
Beautiful shot by the Bengals point leader. And it was almost the exact same play, forcing the turnover in the neutral zone. And like you said, UB got a little bit out of position. They got a little complacent, maybe too used to having all their bodies in the Bengals zone. And finally, when Buff State broke out, they charged in on O'Donnell, and that was just a rip over his glove.
Great shot there from Brett Sardina as he picked up where he left off last year in Game 1, continuing that here in Game 2 as he gets the Bengals on the board. And it's a 1-0 Buff State lead with a little bit more than 9 minutes now to play here in period number 1. Loose puck in behind the Bengals net. Ryan Dene picking it up and starting the breakout. Gets it as far as the blue line, but no further. Shot in on goal. Blocker arm save made there by A.J. White as it comes slowly back down into the UB territory. It's going to go far enough for icing. Thought he might wave that one off, but he decided to call that one an icing, and it will come all the way back down into Buffalo State territory. It's a 1-0 Buff State lead as they've gotten the game's first goal on a great shot there by Brett Sardina.
I'm interested to see now how UB reacts falling behind 1-0, a little bit of adversity. And as we mentioned, a new head coach, a fresh head coach. How is he going to react? Is he going to stick with what they've been doing so far or try and make some adjustments?
First Bengals goal scored by number 53, Brett Sardina. Assist to number 16, Ryan Miller, and number 18, Mike Jankowski. Bengals goal scored by number 53, Brett Sardina, with assists to Miller and Jankowski. Time of the goal, 10:36. Whistle blown, stopping play here with 8:25 to go in the period. Play was right there along the UB blue line. And we'll see exactly what sort of call being made here as we have a stoppage in play. 8:25 to go in the period. Both teams making some line changes as we had the offsides call at the UB blue line.
And after that whistle, you saw a little bit of physicality, and we've mentioned it a number of times, the recent history and the bad blood between these rivals.
UB setting the tone early on, too, with some of that physical play. Laid 3 or 4 good hits in the first 10 minutes of this game. Maybe we'll see whether or not there's going to be any sort of physical response from Buff State. These two teams, plenty of familiarity. I'm sure that physicality is just going to do nothing but pick up as the action continues. Shot taken there from the point. Great redirection there as number 21, Dylan Foresta, getting a lot on that one, changing directions. Maybe even better save there by A.J. White as he had to definitely keep his eye on and track where that puck was going as it changed directions right in front of him. Back into the UB territory now with 7:45 to go in the period. Puck into the neutral zone, settled down there by Foresta. Now he's got some room to skate it through the neutral zone. Foresta into the offensive end, tries to make one extra stick handling move there, just ends up losing control of it. Slides harmlessly towards A.J. White, and he puts the catching glove on top of it. And we have a stoppage in play. 7:36 now left to go in the first period. It's a 1-0 Buff State lead.
UB still looking for their first goal, but if it wasn't for the goalposts and the incredible play so far of A.J. White, it could easily be 2 or 3 goals for the Bulls. So I wouldn't be too discouraged if I'm them. There's still a lot of game to play.
It'll be interesting to see what sort of answer will come from UB. They had the better part of the play for the first 10 minutes. Then they ended up giving up the game's first goal. And kind of always have to get yourself recentered after something like that when you're playing good hockey, not getting rewarded for it. And then the other team ends up getting rewarded for their first opportunity, really. There's a chance almost in front of the net. Stick ends up going flying out of a UB player's hands. Ends up coming back all the way down. The puck ends up coming all the way back down into UB territory, and it's going to be called for an icing. So the faceoff will come back down into Bengal territory, and the draw will be coming up here to the right of Buffalo, to the left. No, trying to determine which way the referee and linesman were going there. It's going to be to the right of A.J. White, and 7:04 now left to go in the period.
They have Bass again behind the net on this UB line. I think it's the 3rd or 4th line. They've generated quite a few opportunities across their lines, picking the puck up and sort of trying to center it. And that's something you haven't really seen too much of them throughout the past, and I'm just wondering if maybe that's sort of a new addition that they've worked on, a new wrinkle in their attack.
Yeah, you mentioned new coaching, new leadership here for this UB team, looking to bounce back from a year that clearly isn't up to the standards for this program, and so far they've had a really good start to this game despite the fact that they're down 1-0.
You have to remember this is the first period of the season. It's the Bengals' second game of the season, so there's a little bit of a difference here, and I think UB should be very pleased with how they played.
Creating another opportunity down low was Cam Bass. A.J. White making a stop on that one. 6:20 now to go in the period, as UB doesn't seem to be too fazed by the fact that Buffalo State got the first goal of this game. UB's response after that has been much the same as they've had early on here in this period. They've spent a good amount of time in the Buff State zone. They've got control of the puck in the Bengals zone right now, but it's Brett Sardina getting in the way of a pass, looking to carry it up ice himself. Takes a good hard hit there by Weingart, knocks him off of that puck, but the Bengals find possession again. Sardina with a backhand shot from the mid-slot. Good save there by O'Donnell, as those backhand shots are always the toughest ones to read. Sardina looking to catch him a little bit off guard, but O'Donnell up to that challenge, making a good solid stop there.
That's what they're going to need more of if they want to stay in this game.
Good defensive play is leaving his feet. There was Brett Sardina to make sure that pass didn't get in front. But the Bulls keeping that set up here in the offensive zone. Sardina again gets in the way of a pass. Bengals with a little bit of difficulty getting out of the zone, though. Kept in by Lammy as he pressures Ryan Hahn. Hahn comes away with the puck and gets it up to Ryan Miller. Miller trying to settle that one down here in the near boards. Hahn eventually gets it out of the zone, helping Miller out, but he can't connect on a pass, and it's settled down there by Weingart. And now the Bulls are going to have an opportunity to counter and move it back up ice themselves. Weingart trying to skate it as he gains the red line and dumps it in. Now heads to the bench for a change. First one to it there in front of the net is going to be Joe Lotempio picking it up for the Bengals. Pass up ice, unable to connect on that one, but Hager's got a step on the defender. Chops at that one to get a shot in on goal. Goes just wide. And now it's picked up there and carried up ice by Pauly. Pauly gains the blue line, lets a shot go. Pad save by White off into the corner. Pauly with his own rebound, setting it up there and getting it back to the point to Tyree. Tyree's shot is deflected by Tulo, but the redirection goes just wide, where Tulo finds it in the corner. Pewarski with a behind-the-back pass, trying to find Tyree in front, but that one doesn't connect. Another pass out in front. This one finally gets there, and there's an opportunity from in tight as Abbott came in from his point position. But just before he let that backhand shot go, the Bengals net came off of its moorings, and the whistle sounded to stop play with 4:34 to go in the period. Bulls keeping that pressure on here, despite the fact that they are down 1-0 in this contest.
And they have their top line out there in the offensive zone. They're going to look to strike very quickly here.
Bengals going to try to make sure they just get it out of the zone here for the meantime. They do manage to do so with Gosen getting it through the neutral zone, but it's going to be Pauly finding control of it. Again, the Bulls looking to get that one up ice, just a little bit out of the reach of Tyree. And that one is going to go for icing on the play, so the Bengals are now going to get to enjoy an offensive zone face-off. 4:15 now left to go here in this period, as a little bit of back-and-forth action here. Game slowing down just a little bit as both teams try to grab that next bit of momentum.
And I think a slower game benefits Buffalo State in this scenario. UB, they oftentimes have sort of a fast break offense, especially with the line of Tulo and Tyree. What I'd like to see more out of them is sort of fundamental, crisp passing and trying to get the defense out of position by moving the puck versus moving with the puck.
Bengals doing some good work here on the forecheck. The two freshmen, Stotz and Mendick, combining to get that puck away from the UB defender. Unable to really develop much from it, though. Cole Newman helping out, sliding in to make a play. Now he's got a pass back here on the stick. Just couldn't quite settle that one down. He was on the top of the circle looking to make an extra pass with that one. Tyree with a chance to go back in the other direction. Shot taken by Tulo. It gets through the pad of A.J. White, and Matt Tulo has answered for UB. It's now a 1-1 hockey game.
And there's that fast break offense I just mentioned. It does work for UB. The problem is, by the third period, are Tulo and Tyree going to be tired of carrying the team? But right there, Tulo sent it up. Tyree picked it up on the near side, sent it back to Tulo, and the team lives or dies by what he does. He had 41 points in 22 games last year for this squad, one in the first period of the season, and we know what we're going to get out of them. But like I said, if they want to compete with teams like Buff State or Niagara in the Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League, UB is going to need to get more goal scoring out of their lower line. So yes, the first line doing what they do. Let's see if the rest of the team can pick up the slack.
First Buffalo goal scored by number 20, Matt Tulo. Assist to number 13, Shane Tyree. Tulo from Tyree, time of the Bulls' goal, 16:23. Approaching the 3-minute mark here in period number 1. Bengals looking to break it out. This pass comes up to Ryan Miller, and he's got plenty of room to skate it up the right wing. Miller makes a move there at the blue line, unable to maintain possession, though, is a good back check play made by Dylan Felser. Now the Bulls with possession, looking to get it back up ice quickly. Dumped in on goal by Cohen. That allows the Bengals some time and space to move it out of the zone. Ryan Hahn slowly carrying it towards his own blue line. Eventually gets that pass up to Ryan Miller. Miller chips it into the offensive zone. Now looks to put some pressure on. Takes a bump from Weingart in the corner. Weingart comes out of there with the puck and moves it up the near wall. This is O'Shea now with some room to carry it up the ice. O'Shea gaining the blue line, sends a backhand pass in front. Good defense from Adam Brennan to make sure that one didn't connect. And now it's going to be Martyr picking it up in the neutral zone, circling right at the Buff State logo, and sending a pass cross ice. Now McCarron picks it up. McCarron to O'Shea, and the Bulls come back into the offensive zone. 4 Bengals back in good position, though. McCarron, though, with an opportunity just to drive it towards the front of the net. Sorry, that was O'Shea with that drive in towards the front of the net as he got around the Buff State defenseman. Good scoring opportunity created for himself there. Yet again, A.J. White making a solid stop, keeping this one a 1-1 hockey game.
The Bass and Daddario line is back out there for UB, and we've seen them with a little bit more slow pace, setting things up behind the net and trying to move the puck versus individual scoring chances.
Bengals with some difficulty breaking it out as Brennan losing control of that one. Good play by Bass to get it off of his stick. Shot redirected as it comes in from the point. Goes just wide. Now the Bengals will look to get it out on that far side. Big hit taken over there. Mark Hager taking the shoulder there from Abbott. Bass finds possession, just dumps it in across the blue line, but the Bengals quickly move it back out. Daddario picks it up there, and then it ends up coming back into the Bengals zone as the physicality continuing now between these two teams. And there's a Bengals player down in the neutral zone right in front of the scorer's box. Looks like that's Adam Brennan slowly getting back to his skates.
The chippiness certainly picking up as UB momentarily, or a few moments ago, tied the game at 1, and heading off the ice now is Brennan. And also you saw Platempio at center ice took a big hit. So a couple Buff State players banged up, and we'll see if they allow that to rattle them a little bit. Are they going to answer back with physicality of their own? Or is this more mature Buffalo State team or the mature players on their team going to kind of let it fall off the shoulder?
Yeah, Buffalo State short a couple of bodies here tonight. Actually, in fact, a number of the regulars that we saw last week not in the lineup. So a short bench to begin with, not quite all of the depth that the Bengals would like to have out there. So the physicality will certainly be something that we want to keep an eye on if that continues throughout this game. Minute 18 now to go here in period number 1. UB finding possession, but unable to find a connection on a pass. That one's going to go for icing as the Bengals just winning out the race for the hash marks there. So a minute 11 to go in the period. Bengals are going to have an offensive zone draw here coming up.
You mentioned a number of Bengals players banged up. Bobby Staniszewski, as we talked to Joe Latempio before the game, is playing through 2 injured ribs, and a number of other players sitting out tonight. So,
testing the depth here for the Bengals tonight as they look to pick up their second win of the season, but it's clearly going to be a tough test as this UB squad is certainly improved from last year, and they're playing good hockey here tonight. Mendick taking a shot there from distance. Pretty easy save there from O'Donnell's. We're under a minute to go in the first period. Bengals, though, keeping it in, looking to create something. Almost a pass across. Good defensive play as getting in the way of that one was Brady. Brady now with a chance in the offensive zone. He lets a hard wrist shot go. That one just missing the net wide as he swings it around behind the net as Johnson going to look to get it out of the zone for the Bengals. Pass ends up coming right in front of the net. Staniszewski just flips it through the neutral zone. It's now 30 seconds to go in the period. Martyr banking it off the glass. He's got Tyree. Tyree with a little bit of speed into the offensive zone. Drops it for Pewarski. Pewarski sidesteps one man, gets that one out in front. Tulo there with 2 men on him. Just plays it into the corner now where he sets up that forecheck. Ryan Hahn doing a good job of breaking the forecheck, making sure it gets up to Ryan Miller. Miller helping it the rest of the way into UB territory. Final 6 seconds now here in the period as Ryan Hahn lets a shot go from the red line. Looked like it handcuffed O'Donnell just a little bit. as the Bengals get a shot away right as the buzzer goes. That one coming in from Jankowski might have not been before the buzzer went, but hit the side of the net to begin with, so really didn't make a whole lot of difference as it was, but that is how period number one will come to a conclusion, and a period that was clearly in favor of the UB Bulls as they came ready to play in their first game of the season. They had a lot of the momentum in the game. Buff State got the first goal, however, and we have a 1-1 tie after 20 minutes.
Well, Buffalo State came on strong, I'd say, in the final 10 minutes of the period. But then again, UB in the final 5 really brought things back to their center. They found their niche and what works for them with the Tulo and Tyree line. And what I'm really just waiting for is the depth of this UB team to really step up. And I understand they have a lot of new players and they have a new coach. So nothing to be necessarily worried about. But I still feel like they have more left in the tank and another level they can take it to.
I'd like to send a special thanks to our game sponsor tonight, Vintage Ice Hockey, bringing defunct hockey teams back to life. Until Tuesday, you can get a piece of Buffalo hockey history. Pre-order a Buffalo Norseman jersey from Vintage Ice Hockey. These awesome jerseys are as one-of-a-kind as the team was. The Norsemen only played one season in the old NAHL, 1975-76, but that's the same league that inspired the classic movie Slapshot, so the stories of the Norsemen live on. You can learn more about their history, as well as get your Buffalo Norseman apparel, VintageIceHockey.com. Support also comes from Militello Realty, Western New York's premier commercial real estate broker. To buy, sell, or lease any office, industrial, retail, or investment property, trust the unparalleled knowledge and experience of Militello Realty. 856-2872 or militello.com. By Ivy Leaf Pharmacy, a locally owned neighborhood pharmacy for over 60 years. Ivy Leaf can cover your immunization needs from flu shots to the newest COVID vaccine. Also, CBD products, home health care, and all of your other pharmacy needs. Ivy Leaf Pharmacy, 2446 Elmwood Avenue in Kenmore. Supporters also include Pool Mart, your family fun store. Whether you're looking for a pool, hot tub, patio furniture, supplies, or more, Pool Mart has 5 locations across Western New York and Northern Pennsylvania to meet your specific need, or find them online at poolmartonline.com. This broadcast also brought to you by Colvin Cleaners. Dry cleaning, wash and fold, tailoring, and all garment services. Colvin Cleaners is the region's premier Green Earth dry cleaner. It's also where the Buffalo State Club hockey team goes to keep their uniforms the sharpest in the league. ColvinCleaners.com or visit them on Elmwood Avenue in Kenmore. Supporters also include Envious Gameware, the official uniform provider of the Buffalo State Club hockey team. Find them online, enviousgameware.com. And by 412 Communications, the new gold standard for digital media solutions for small businesses. 412 Communications offers consulting for web and graphic design, social media, writing and editing services, multimedia solutions, and much, much more. Visit 412communications.com to learn how they can help your brand build bridges with the people you serve. This is the Nickel City Hockey Network, Western New York's new broadcast home for college, high school, and junior hockey. We'll be back with period number 2 from the Buffalo State Ice Arena in about 10 minutes. Buffalo State College Club Hockey is sponsored by Ivy Leaf Pharmacy, a locally owned neighborhood pharmacy in Kenmore for over 60 years. By Militello Realty, Western New York's premier commercial real estate broker. By Pool Mart. For any pool, hot tub, or patio need, Pool Mart is your fun store. By 412 Communications, the new gold standard for small business digital media solutions. By Envious Gameware, designers of high-end custom hockey uniforms, bags, and apparel, and the official uniform provider of Buffalo State College Club Hockey. And by Colvin Cleaners. For dry cleaning, wash and fold, tailoring, and more, Colvin Cleaners is who the Bengals trust to keep their uniforms the sharpest in the league. This is the Nickel City Hockey Network, Western New York's new broadcast home for college, high school, and junior hockey. And welcome back to the Buffalo State Ice Arena as we get set for second period action between the University of Buffalo Bulls and the home squad, the Buffalo State Bengals. After 20 minutes of play, it's a 1-1 hockey game between these two crosstown rivals. Bengals getting on the board first, the Bulls getting the answer later on in the first period. But the first period was certainly the ice tilted towards the Buff State net, as it was UB with the better part of the play throughout period number 1, despite the fact that it is a 1-1 hockey game. Good evening. My name is Aaron Elpern, along for the call of tonight's game, joined by new contributor to the Nickel City Hockey Network, Ryan Tantolo. And Ryan, certainly a good first period of the year from the UB perspective.
It certainly was, and like I said a couple times, I was impressed by their ability to, or at least their attempts to try and slow things down and set up the offense versus just rushing in and relying on the odd man rushes.
Well, he certainly did a good job of spending a lot of time in the Bengals zone, as they have it here in the offensive zone again. Bengals trying to get it out of their own end, passing the skates of Joe Lotempio. He does find control of it. Now the Bengals try to get it into the offensive zone, but good play there. Matt Tulo back-checking nicely to make sure that the Bengals didn't even get it in across the blue line. Now back inside the Bengals zone as it's picked up. Shot taken there, as that was Weingart letting a shot go. It looked like it was going to miss the net high and wide. A.J. White got a stick on it nonetheless. And the puck comes slowly back into the UB territory. A foot race for it. Alex Gosen winning that one for the Bengals. He's got control of the puck here in the near corner. Tries to get that pass out in front. Had Luke Stotz there in the slot. Just couldn't quite get it to him. Back in the other direction comes Pewarski. Good defensive play by Ryan Hahn to cut him off. Now Stotz into the offensive zone. Draws a penalty there as Martyr plays him with a stick. Had the position, but just a little bit extra there with the stick. The referee close by making the call. And the Bengals are going to get their first chance here on the power play, as it's Jared Martyr taking the penalty.
Not an ideal first minute for UB into the second period, and Buff State now with the tie game, heading to the man advantage and looking to take their second lead of the game. Face off to the left of O'Donnell.
Bengals were fairly successful last week, getting at least one goal on the power play in the early going of last week's affair. Not a whole lot of penalties taken, despite the fact that it was a fairly physical game. We'll see what the Bengals can do with this man advantage, as it was a hooking call made against Martyr, giving the Bengals the chance with the power play here. Good play at the point. Cole Newman leaving his feet, knocking it down out of midair to make sure the Bengals keep the zone. Now settle it down, get it set up here in the corner. Sardina's got two men on him. Loses control of it, but it's kept in here at the point. Newman making another good play at his left point position. Getting some help from Sardina as the Bengals maintain the zone. Still a ways from the net, however, as Sardina has it against the far wall. Takes a bit of a hook there. No call made. Referee making a signal that it was Sardina initiating that contact. The Bengals are going to have to go 200 feet out of their own zone. First pass coming from A.J. White, now in a dangerous position. Chance in front of the net. Opportunity on the shorthanded as Brian O'Shea was handed a glorious chance in front of the net. A.J. White staying with him, though, making the save and covering up for a whistle, as there's a minute 8 now remaining in the UB penalty, as the Bengals get 5 new players out there for the power play.
It was some pretty gutsy pressure by UB there, shorthanded. 2 players forechecking in the Buffalo State zone. That time they forced the turnover, but I could see that coming back to haunt them.
Buffalo penalty to number 3, Jared Martyr. 2 minutes for hooking. Martyr, 2 minutes for hooking. Time of the penalty, 1:02. Stotz into the offensive zone for Buff State, looking to get the power play organized. Sends a pass out around behind the net where he finds Alex Gosen. Now back to the point to Ryan Hahn. Hahn walking the blue line, then feeding it down low. Mendick trying to get it there behind the net. Him and Stotz play catch with it behind the cage, but it comes back to the point to Hahn. Now the Bengals get it set up yet again. Behind the net to Mendick. Mendick looking for a pass, gets it to Stotz. Stotz with that pass in front. He had Gosen on the back door, but a good defensive play, as it was Brady getting the stick on him there, making sure that he was unable to accept that pass. 20 seconds now left in the Bengals power play, as this unit seems to have had the most time set up in the offensive zone. This is Mendick at the top of the circle. Back to Hahn. His shot's deflected. Doesn't get to the net. Now a shot taken from here on the near point, as that was Stanishewski letting that shot go. Kind of a rolling puck. Might have been a little bit difficult for O'Donnell to handle, but he made the save, held on for a whistle. Now just 7 seconds remaining on the penalty to Martyr.
That Buffalo State passing was pretty impressive. Tape to tape, back and forth, behind the net, to the wing, out to the top. And a couple of the shots have been blocked by UB, but that's still nothing against the Buffalo State attack. Still very impressive the way they move that puck.
Mostly, though, just kind of maintaining possession and working it around the perimeter. No real opportunities created there from that power play for the Bengals. See if they get any future opportunities with the man advantage, whether or not they can set up a little bit more. Here's a chance coming into the offensive zone. Miller in front of the net. Shot taken there. Great save, as that was Ryan O'Donnell making the stop, but Miller ends up getting knocked down in the process, slamming into the backboards. And it's going to be another opportunity on the power play for the Bengals, as it's Hunter Oliver heading to the penalty box. And we'll see whether or not Ryan Miller is able to get back to his skates and rejoin the play, as he is certainly a player that the Bengals can ill afford to lose, already short some of their offensive weapons here tonight.
And you saw the trainer sprint out of the bench after that hit, but Miller pretty quickly back to his feet, and we'll see if he returns to the game, but at least able to skate off mostly under his own power.
Quick conversation going on at the penalty box door, and it appears that there might be a little bit more than just a 2-minute penalty being issued here, as that's Hunter Oliver in a conversation with the referee, and he's being escorted off the ice. Looks like we're getting a major penalty being called here against number 18, Hunter Oliver, and that's going to be a big opportunity here for the Bengals. Looks like we're going to get a 5-minute power play coming up for Buff State. We've yet to see the penalty go up on the board or got notification yet from the scorer's box. We'll have to wait and see exactly what the situation here is. It's a major and a game misconduct for cross-checking against number 18, Hunter Oliver. Oliver, one of the stronger offensive players for this UB team last year, so that's a loss there from a UB perspective. But also notable that that's I only have 2 up on the board right now, but I'm not sure if it's a 5-minute power play or just 2 minutes. But Oliver is certainly a player that's going to be a loss here for the UB side.
It's a massive loss for UB, and it's also they've demonstrated a complete lack of discipline in the first 3.5 minutes of this period. 2 penalties already, and you wonder, as we've mentioned a few times, with a first-year head coach who's beginning his career, how is he going to keep his players under control when their emotions might rise to a level of what Oliver just did, getting himself ejected.
So it's a 5-minute power play now for the Bengals, as a golden opportunity here in this 1-1 hockey game. Buffalo penalty to number 18, Hunter Oliver. 5 minutes for cross-checking and a game misconduct. Oliver, 5 minutes for cross-checking and a game misconduct. Time of the penalty, 3:20. Bengals getting it set up here in the offensive zone, but they can't keep possession. Puck is sent the length of the ice by Nick Pauley, as the Bulls have killed off the first 30 seconds here of the major penalty. Set up behind the net. This is Cole Newman here on the near boards, looking to start it up ice. Fans on a pass, but keeps control of it, now skating through the neutral zone. Newman dumping it in. O'Donnell quickly out of his net to slow it down. That pass doesn't connect. Now the Bengals might get a chance to set things up. Shot taken from the near point. Cole Newman kind of floated on him. Missed the net just wide, but the Bengals still have possession. Puck comes back behind the net. Sardina picks it up there, avoids one man, now has it on the far wall. Sardina cutting in towards the slot, looking to create something here offensively. Now just winds up and takes a slap shot. Looked like Cohen got a little bit of that one and went wide, but the Bengals find possession afterward. Here on the near boards as Lotempio tries to battle for it. Comes around behind the net. The Bulls going to get a chance to clear the zone here, and a nice play as a spinning clear on the backhand there by Jared Martyr. All the way back into the Bengals territory. 3:32 now remaining in the power play. Newman slowly setting it up, dropping a pass there for Stotes, and now Stotes up the left wing. Stotes gains the blue line, driving in towards the net, now circling the cage, gets it back to the point. Set up there by Stanishewski. Stanishewski then behind the net. Slowly comes to Sardina, but he can't quite get to it before Weingart. Weingart taking that opportunity to send it the length of the ice all the way in on A.J. White. 3 minutes to go in the major penalty.
UB penalty kill, getting a lot of practice in here early. You never like to be shorthanded, but it is a part of the game, and having already 5 minutes of penalty kill plus in this period is a bit of a positive for the team in a weird way.
Player goes falling to the ice there, now rejoining the plays. The Bengals have some numbers into the offensive zone. Hahn taking a shot. Rebound is sitting there. Jankowski with a chance on the backhand. Save made by O'Donnell as a cluster of players converge on the goal crease. Net coming off of its moorings, but O'Donnell hangs on to the puck, holds on for a whistle. Now 2:38 to go in the major penalty. So far, UB has done a pretty good job of killing this one off.
They haven't been afraid to get down and try and block shots, put their bodies on the line, and those are the type of things that winning teams do. And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as hustle and effort and not being afraid to put your body on the line.
Right after that face-off in the offensive zone for Buff State, the puck ends up being flipped up and out of play, so we'll redo the face-off from that same circle on the far side. Now 2:35 to go in the major penalty. Penalty being served by number 10, Cam Bass, as it's going to be Stoats and Daddario on for the draw. A little bit of a false start there from the far side of the circle. Linesman is now satisfied with things, and UB winning that draw cleanly and getting that puck cleared, but only to the blue line. Glove down there by Ryan Hahn. He has to retreat to the neutral zone before he can set it up again. Stanishewski up to Mendick, and he deflects it into the offensive zone. O'Donnell out of his cage to play that one. Tries to clear the zone, but it's kept in at the far point. Hahn again, making sure that clearing attempt doesn't get out. This clearing attempt comes to the near point. Stanishewski keeping it in there, clearing it in behind the net. Now it's going to be Mendick on the far side with a little bit more than 2 minutes to go in the Bengals power play. Getting it set up, taking a shot from distance. Ryan Hahn that had a screen in front. O'Donnell fought through that screen to see it though. Made the save, and now the Bulls get it out of the zone, but only as far as the center red line where the Bengals force a turnover and now have possession just inside their own blue line. Up ice to Mendick. He takes a hit but dumps it into the offensive zone. Minute 43 to go in the Bengals power play. Clearing attempt gets out into the neutral zone. Lammy making sure it gets the rest of the way into Bengals territory, as the Buff State team will have to settle it down and start it out from their own end. Difficulty getting it out there. Good play to keep it in by Tulo, and the Bulls have possession of it. Maybe too many men out there, though. Referee, though, right in position. No call being made on that play, as there's now a minute 20 to go in the Bengals power play. Soft pressure only from Tyree on the penalty kill, but it still forces an errant pass, and now Newman's going to have to go back into his own zone to start the breakout yet again. Quickly up ice this time. He has Gosen on the far boards. That pass doesn't connect. There could be a chance down low here, as a little bit of a hit laid over there by Newman's going to be penalized here as Tulo sidestepped him. End up taking what I can only imagine is going to be called a trip on Newman, so that's going to negate the last 58 seconds of the Buff State power play. And it's going to give UB a chance on the power play with a shortened version of a man advantage coming up after the last 58 seconds to the major penalty.
It really never looked like Buffalo State got comfortable with the man advantage, despite being on the power play for a 2-minute minor and then the 5-minute major. They really never got anything going.
And as mentioned, the last 58 seconds go by the wayside as we'll play 4-on-4 here. Always interested to see which side 4-on-4 favors when it hasn't been played yet in the game. A little bit more ice out there. We'll see exactly which side gets the benefit of that extra space. Bouncing puck along the blue line, settled down by Ryan Miller, and he carries it back into his own zone. Now through the neutral zone and into the offensive end. Miller looking to do things himself, ends up getting it to Hahn. Hahn to Lotempio, turning around and firing one. That one gets deflected as it was on its way in, up and out of play. So stoppage and play, 12-12 to go in the period. We'll play 4-on-4 for another 32 seconds, and then an abbreviated minute power play for UB coming up after that.
If I had to predict who had the 4-on-4 advantage, I actually would lean a little bit towards Buffalo State because I think they have a bit more of a handle on the structure of their offense, and the thing that stopped them has been UB's speed and the ability for them to intercept passing lanes. So now with a little bit more ice, I think their offense can flow more freely.
Buffalo State penalty to number 29, Cole Newman. 2 minutes for tripping. Newman, 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 7:22. Power play now underway here for UB as Tulo has an opportunity from a prime scoring location. He was right in between the face-off dot and the cage that A.J. White was defending. White making a good save, though, holding out with the glove hand, settling it down and slowing the play with just 5 seconds to go in 4-on-4. I said they were back to 5-on-5. I'm not sure if they had the right number of players out there. I might have counted too many in my head. Either way, it looked like it was the power play setup. Still 4-on-4 for another 5 seconds, and then the abbreviated power play coming up as this period's been a little bit of a change of pace from the first period. It was a little bit more open. These 3 penalties so far in the action here in this period kind of slowed the game down just a touch.
Definitely. We've seen the officials getting involved more likely to grab their whistles, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing with the number of tough hits and physical play we've seen.
Bengals looking to create an opportunity shorthanded as Adam Brennan carried the puck into the zone, let a good hard shot go, but it missed the net high and wide.
And now an opportunity to settle it down and move that puck up ice for their power play for the UB Bulls. Martyr carries it across his own blue line, now cuts through the neutral zone, now gets it into the offensive zone, circling the Bengals net as he looks for a pass. Martyr stopping at the hash marks, back to the point to Felser. Felser cross ice, gets that pass to Brady, and Brady again cross ice as they set up the perimeter passing nicely, but a great play as leaving his feet and reaching out to make that play shorthanded was Ryan Miller, and he gets the clear, sends it down the ice, now just 10 seconds to go in the UB power play. Bulls looking to get it in with Foresta. Foresta cuts in towards the slot, but good defense by Stanishewski to keep him from getting there. Last 2 seconds now in the Bengals penalty as Brady plays it in from his point position, setting up some offensive zone time. Stanishewski just tries to flip it up that far side, but it ends up hitting the overhang of the walkway behind the Bengals net. So that's going to result in a stoppage in play. 10:30 to go in the period, and the teams are finally back to 5-on-5.
Pretty incredible. We made it through 9.5 minutes of the second period. The majority of that was with at least one player in the penalty box, and we're still knotted up at 1, which we were when we began the period.
A little bit more than 10 minutes to go here in the frame as UB wins possession of another offensive zone face-off. Loose puck on that far wall. Daddario's the first one to it. Digs it out of his skates and cycles it down low to Bass. Bass fanning on a pass attempt there as Ryan Hahn knocks him to the ice and finds possession. Hahn tries to get that pass cross ice to Hager, just a little bit out of his reach. Now a foot race for that puck. Icing is waved off as Hager got to the hash marks first. Almost ends up with a loose puck in front of the net for his troubles, but eventually it's going to be covered up by O'Donnell. And it's going to be an offensive zone draw coming up for Buff State. Good hustle there by Mark Hager to negate the icing. And instead of the faceoff coming back down in front of A.J. White, it's going to be here at the other end of the ice to the left of Ryan O'Donnell. Just tough to identify Hager out there wearing the wrong number. Normally number 93. He's got 27 on this evening. Lammy picking up a loose puck in the neutral zone, dumping it into the Bengals territory. Dene goes back there for it. Picks it up behind his own net. He's got 2 Bulls on him as he tries to start the breakout up the far side. Lays a hit on one man, but it's going to be the Bulls finding possession. Loose puck on that far hash mark. As a little bit more physical contact out there. Ryan Hahn laying a shoulder into his man. But it's going to be Pauly finding possession, getting it back to the point to Abbott. Abbott lets a shot go. Right in on goal. A.J. White making the save. The rebound was there briefly, but then cleared to the corner. As UB looks for another opportunity. That backhand shot coming in from Lammy. Good save there as A.J. White certainly tested on that backhander. Loose puck again found by a UB stick as that shot comes in from the sideboards. Pauly missing the net with that attempt. A little bit more physicality then coming from the Bengals as the two teams trade some hits in behind the net. Coming out with it, though, Abbott gets it into the slot. Tyree lets the shot go. Didn't get much on it, but just enough to have it rolling end over end. Ends up bouncing over the glove of A.J. White. And it wasn't the prettiest of shots, but it's enough to give UB the 2-1 lead.
And that's a goal for the first liner, Tyree. But that opportunity was created by the UB fourth line. Bass, Lammy, and Daddario really putting in work, as well as Nick Pauly, a very skilled defenseman with the puck. They kept possession for so long, and when Tyree finally came in the change, the Buff State defense had no sight of him. He skated right into the slot, didn't get a lot on it, and I think the deflection and the bouncing puck really caught White off guard. A goal's a goal, though, and UB grinding and finally paying off for their first lead of the game.
UB rewarded for their hard work in the offensive zone, and it's a goal to give them a 2-1 lead. Shane Tyree getting credit with that one. As said, probably not one he's going to write home about, but it counts just the same as a bar-down shot up in the corner. So it's a 2-1 lead for UB, and now they look to add to it as they put some more pressure on here in the offensive zone. But the Bengals looking to counter, quickly getting it up ice just a little bit too far for Joe Lotempio to pick up and carry into the offensive zone for an opportunity. Jankowski comes in, though, late to make sure it does get into the offensive zone as the Bengals now look to set up a little bit of zone time and a little bit of that forecheck. 8:30 now remaining here in the period. This is an opportunity developing for Tulo. Tulo with speed and a lane shot in on goal. Save is made off the mask of A.J. White. Rebound opportunity was there briefly. It looked like that one went off the crossbar and then ended up in the corner wide. Bulls now putting some pressure on with Tyree, making sure it stays down low. Tulo taking a shot from distance. That hits Cole Newman in the leg. He's in some discomfort right now as he tries to get back into his position. Tulo in the corner, creating a little bit of forecheck mayhem, though, as he gets that pass in front just too far for Pewarski to get to. Bengals just looking to get it clear. They can't get it out of the zone as Weingart keeps it in. Weingart walks in from his point position, lets a shot go, goes off the side of the net, and that ends up getting a whistle from the nearby referee as he lost sight of it. So we'll have a stoppage in play with 7:49 to go. Bulls with the 2-1 lead, and they have a lot of momentum. They're looking to add to it.
That was a nice offensive zone time there for the Bulls. They kept that first line out there with Tulo and Tyree because they scored the goal only a couple seconds into their shift, kept them out there, kept up the pressure, and got a couple nice shots off with one going off the crossbar.
Second Buffalo goal scored by number 13, Shane Tyree. Assist to number 22, Josh Abbott. Tyree from Abbott, time of the Bulls' goal, 10:57. UB heads back into their own zone to start the breakout, but some hassling being put on there. Good play by Jankowski to create a loose puck. Get some help from Miller, and the two of them now look to create something in front as Sardina came in late. Good opportunity and a good save being made by Ryan O'Donnell, as this line has probably been the most effective for Buff State: Sardina, Jankowski, and Miller. Bulls looking to counter, but that pass is intercepted. Now here comes Sardina with a little bit of pace up the right side. Sardina looking for a pass, gets it into the slot to Miller, but he had a man right on him, just tried to settle it down, unable to keep possession though, as now it's on the near boards, and UB successfully getting it out of the zone. Carrying it up ice now is Foresta. Foresta has a little bit of pace and circles in that far corner, looking to set up a pass in front of the net. Couldn't connect on that one, and the Bengals clear the zone. Abbott's going to have to go back into the neutral territory to pick that one up. Abbott finding McCarron here in the neutral zone. McCarron with a little bit of difficulty, but does find control of it. Now into the offensive zone as he cuts in towards the slot. Lets a shot go from the faceoff dot here on the near side. Good save by A.J. White. Got himself positioned very nicely at the top of his crease. Made the initial save and made sure there was no second opportunity as well.
And the Bulls, after McCarron taking that shot, they've made a few quick changes in this period, and I think that's a testament to their newfound depth over the offseason. And McCarron, who just took the shot, is a new addition to this team, came down from the ACHA squad.
Yeah, certainly some of the new faces that we're seeing in the lineup for the blue and white team, they've been noticeable out there, and a big part of why the Bulls have had the not just the better part of play, but why they have a 2-1 lead. 3 saves made there in tight succession by A.J. White. Loose puck still being scrambled for. That shot's taken. Looked like Everett got that last one away. A.J. White making 3 or 4 stops there in that melee. UB keeps it in. Abbott with the puck at the point, tries to go cross-ice to find Felser. His shooting attempt goes wide, but Abbott has it again here at the near point. Walks in and takes a shot. Pad save made by A.J. White. Rebound picked up by Felser here in the near corner. Felser then cycles it down low where he has Cohen. Cohen takes a hit from Brennan. Both players go to the ice. Stotz ends up finding that loose puck and getting it up to Mendick. Stotz now is going to have to pick it up and do some work on his own to get that puck out. Eventually gets it up to Hager, but Felser coming back quickly on that play takes it off of his stick. Cohen now with that puck on the far circle. Couldn't get a shot away as it's sent around behind the Bengals net with 5:30 to go in the period. Cole Newman looking to get it up the near side here as takes a couple of bounces off of bodies, and eventually the Bengals settle it down, but they can't get it out as it's kept in by Pauly. Right along the blue line, eventually the Bengals do get this one cleared, but this one's going to go for icing, so you have a tired group of Bengals out there that are going to have to stay on the ice after this icing infraction.
It's a really outstanding pressure from the Bulls. They got 4 or 5 or 6 shot opportunities before Buffalo State was able to clear the zone, and that takes an unbelievable toll on a defense, the amount of time that they have to spend exerting energy on the defensive end, and they finally get it clear only to be sent back down the ice, and I think that explains the Buffalo State timeout right now, trying to get a breather.
Yeah, that's an absolute necessary move there from the Buffalo State coaching staff. Tim Turner, Jeff Shepchuk, Pat Krebs, seeing the situation there, realizing that the 5 guys they had on the ice had been out there for at least a minute. They were all sucking wind and needed an opportunity to get a little bit more of a breather. Smart timeout taken there by the Buff State coaching staff. And we'll take a moment to thank our game sponsor tonight. We are pleased to have Vintage Ice Hockey as our game sponsor this evening. Vintage Ice Hockey brings defunct hockey teams back to life, and we're celebrating the Buffalo Norsemen here tonight as a unique piece of Buffalo hockey history is available from Vintage Ice Hockey. You can pre-order a Norseman jersey this week only until Tuesday. These awesome jerseys are as one-of-a-kind as the team was. The Norsemen only played 1 year, 1975-76, in the old NAHL, but that is the exact same league that produced the movie Slapshot, so you know the stories live on to this day.
Learn more about the Buffalo Norsemen, their history, and what apparel you can get at vintageicehockey.com. We appreciate their support of Buffalo State College Club hockey. Timeout is over with, and the puck has been dropped. Bulls keeping it in here at the point. Martyr making a good play to make sure it stays in the zone, but the Bengals do manage to get the clear as Stotz did some good work inside the blue line to make sure that puck got out. Bengals were able to make one change only, though, as they got the puck into the neutral zone. Bulls quickly countering, getting it back up ice. Shot in on goal, save made by A.J. White. As the Bulls look to keep it in the zone, but it comes up the near side to Mendick. His pass is offline. UB had a chance to keep it in, unable to do so for very long, and now Stotz has it in the neutral zone. Stotz in across the blue line. Kind of an extended shift for him as he ends up circling and heading back to the bench now. But UB going to carry that puck out of their own zone with some speed. This is Lammy in the offensive zone. Lammy sends it behind the net to Bass, gets it back on his stick. Had a little bit of an opening in the net to shoot it at, but his backhand missed just wide. Daddario on the far side, getting a little bit of help from Bass, but it's Gosen and Lotempio making sure that puck gets out of the zone. Going to go too far, though, to stay in play, and icing is going to be called on this one. 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the period. And again, the Bengals are going to have some tired people out there as they were trying to sneak that change in. I know Mendick's been out there for a long period of time at this point. So, again, Bengals are going to have to deal with the defensive zone faceoff with some players that might not be at the top of their conditioning at the moment because they've been out there for a while.
Very true. It's been a rough 3, 4, 5 past minutes for Buff State with really nothing in terms of possession and UB controlling the action.
A.J. White, though, keeping the Bengals in this game, making all the saves that he's been asked to make. Just the one getting past him in the first period, then the goal here in period number 2. But he's been very sharp. A lot of the really high-danger scoring chances, he's been on top of his crease and making good, solid saves, making sure there isn't a second opportunity. He is going to be called on to be his very best here tonight if the Bengals are going to come out on top of this action. Bengals win a face-off, try to get a shot in from the top of the circle. That was a backhand attempt by Gosen, but it is picked up and carried up ice by Pewarski for UB. Pewarski gets that backhand pass in front, ends up coming all the way back to the point to Brady. Brady tries to take a shot from distance, but it hit a body in front of the net. Bengals end up getting that puck cleared. LaCursi along his own blue line, gives it to Pewarski, and now LaCursi again with an opportunity. Gets that one up ice and it's deflected into the offensive zone. Hahn going back there for it here in the near corner. Hahn floating it through the neutral zone, goes right past the UB defenseman, but puck was elevated, so the icing is going to be called on this one. And game slowing down a little bit more here. Said that might favor UB as it might favor Buff State just to try to slow down UB a little bit with the momentum in this game. It's got another offensive zone draw, though, for UB, so the Bengals have their work cut out for them.
Slowing down and stopping are two different things. I think Buff State has been able to keep things slow by sort of just keeping it a game of attrition and not allowing UB to really fire off consistently. But if they want to come back into this game, they have to move things down to the other end. That's regardless of the pace. Buff State needs to do a better job of keeping it in their own zone and making more than one pass in a row without turning the puck over.
They do manage to get it inside the blue line and get a shot in on goal, but a pretty easy save there from O'Donnell. He deflects it up and out of play. Bengals will get an offensive zone draw here as it's Lotempio and McCarron on for the faceoff. Ends up being scrambled, then coming out to Pauly, and he carries it up the left wing. He's got some speed into the offensive zone. 3-on-2 setting up here for the Bulls. Comes out to Foresta. Just had it on his backhand, had to readjust himself. Couldn't get a shot away. Bengals now going to get a chance to get that puck up ice. This is Aaron Johnson with the puck on his stick in the neutral zone. Dumps it in across the blue line. And Bengals just going to set up a little bit of light pressure as they make a couple of changes. Plenty of room and space for McCarron to carry that puck up ice. All 5 Bengals, though, back in the defensive zone as McCarron brings it into the offensive zone, circling the Bengals net. Back to the point to Abbott. Abbott goes D to D. Gets it to Pauly. Shot taken there from the left point. That one doesn't get through the crowd of bodies in front of the net. Now the Bengals get it out. Jankowski here in the neutral zone up to Miller. Miller gives it back to Jankowski. Got a man in front. Great play there by O'Donnell, though. Looked like that was the pass off the pads attempt as Jankowski was trying to get that shot in on goal quickly with Sardina driving towards the net. O'Donnell reading that one nicely, making sure that there was no opportunity in front, just deflecting that one up and out of play. Faceoff will come up to his glove hand side as we get things restarted with 2:11 to go in period 2.
And that was a nice little shift of the momentum for Buffalo State, charging in and they had a potential for a rebound and a goal right there. O'Donnell made a nice play, but Buffalo State right back on the attack.
Bengals winning a draw there, and a shot coming in through traffic. Stanishewski letting that one go. Might have been a little bit difficult for O'Donnell to handle, but he made the save, and the Bulls get it out of the zone without having to worry about giving up a second opportunity. Bengals, though, make sure they don't have a whole lot of time to spend in their zone as they clear it out back into UB territory, forcing the Bulls to set up their breakout again with Martyr in the near corner. Got Jankowski on him. Miller also watching him as Martyr switches ends of the ice and now tries to break it out the left side. Good hit there by Miller, knocking Martyr to the ice. And now it's going to be Weingart having to do the work to get the puck out of the zone. There's a Bengals player down there. Miller, I don't even know what happened there on that backside of the play, but Miller had to go to the bench as Everett with a chance in front of the net for UB. His shot missing the net, but he's got control of it again, getting a pass back. Unable to dig it out of his skates, though, and now it's going to be Cole Newman with a chance to get that one out of the Bengals zone. Get some help from Luke Stotz to do so. Stotz now in the offensive zone, gets himself wide on the defenseman, tries to get a pass back in front. He had Sardina there in the slot. Good defensive play to make sure that pass didn't connect. And now UB with Felser going to move it up ice. Bengals just sending it right back to the UB territory as we are now under a minute to go in the second period. It's a 2-1 hockey game in favor of UB. Bengals with some numbers here in the neutral zone. This is Cohen carrying it across the blue line. Gets that pass across and another post. That one looked like it hit the near post and came out wide as the third time today the UB Bulls have hit a post. They keep the puck here in the offensive zone as they look to create at least one more opportunity before the end of the period. Bengals, though, are going to have a chance to carry it out here on the near side as they have some numbers and some room to operate. Newman dumps it in on goal. That one is deflected off to the far boards by O'Donnell, where LaCourcy picks it up. LaCourcy now up the near wall, just gets it out into the neutral zone as we have now 18 seconds to go in the period. Daddario putting some pressure on Brennan, creates a turnover. Bass with the puck on his stick, tries to get that pass out in front. Good defense, though, making sure that pass didn't connect as there was a man wide open in front of the net. 4 seconds to go in the period. One more opportunity. That pass just too far out of the reach of LaCourcy, and it goes all the way back down into the UB territory. And it's going to be the last moment here of period number 2. Kind of a penalty-filled period. At least the first half of the second period was filled with penalties. Only one goal being scored in that period, and that one went the way of UB, and it's given them a 2-1 lead.
And I think the second 10 minutes of the period, after the penalties and all that physical play and a little bit of roughness was cleared up, UB really dominated the second 10 minutes of play. And what I saw them doing that Buffalo State hasn't really been able to do is generate the second and third chance opportunities, getting a body or two bodies in front of the net. And when Buffalo State has had similar chances or similar possessions, they've been taking one shot and it's either been sticked away or blocked and taken right back out, while UB has had 30, 40, 50 plus seconds in the zone consistently.
Yeah, that has been the theme of the night. UB's setting up shop in the Buff State zone, getting multiple opportunities every time they're in the offensive end. For the Bengals, though, it's been, for the most part, as you said, Ryan, one and done, and then back to play defense. So something that we will keep an eye on in period number 3, determine whether or not that will continue over from period number 2. See whether or not the extra game that Buff State has played will be of benefit to them here in period number 3. So far, there hasn't been any rust on the UB side.
Definitely not, and this is really where you want to be for UB, because they're not necessarily up by enough where they could get complacent and let things fall behind. This is still a close game. It's still more than up in the air. It could go either way at this point, so UB coming out, this is a chance for them to really close out the game and have a complete victory in all 3 periods.
And one of those games where certainly going to have to keep an eye on the physical play. These two teams maybe toned it down there a little bit in the second period. They certainly have some historic bad blood that's built up, a lot of familiarity between the two rosters, so that's something that will be kept an eye on in period number 3. And I got to say, if Buff State is going to manage to come back here in this game, they're going to need 2 things to happen. They're going to need A.J. White to continue playing the way he has in net here tonight. He has been stellar right from the outset. The go-ahead goal by UB there in period number 2 was kind of a rolling, bouncing puck that I think A.J. White's probably going to make the stop on most occasions. Kind of a fluky-looking goal, but it counts nonetheless. And then the top line for the Bengals, they're going to have to produce if they're going to be able to stay in this game. Sardina has the goal already for the Bengals. They're going to rely on his line of Ryan Miller and Mike Jankowski if the Bengals are going to have a chance to come back here in this game. Our game sponsor tonight, we'd like to take a special moment to thank Vintage Ice Hockey. Vintage Ice Hockey brings defunct hockey teams back to life. This week only, you can get a piece of Buffalo hockey history. Until Tuesday, pre-order a Buffalo Norseman jersey from Vintage Ice Hockey. These awesome jerseys are as one-of-a-kind as the Buffalo Norsemen were themselves. They only played 1 year, 1975-76, in the old NAHL. It's the same league that inspired the movie Slapshot, so some of the stories of the Buffalo Norsemen are still living on to this day, and you can do a little bit more research there on vintageicehockey.com, hear a little bit more about the history of the Norsemen, and get your one-of-a-kind Buffalo Norseman jersey available for pre-order now until Tuesday. VintageIceHockey.com. We thank them for their sponsorship and their support of this game here on the Nickel City Hockey Network. We're going to step away here for the second intermission, but we're going to be back in about 10 minutes for period number 3. You're tuned to Buffalo State College Club Hockey on the Nickel City Hockey Network. Buffalo State College Club Hockey is sponsored by Ivy Leaf Pharmacy, a locally owned neighborhood pharmacy in Kenmore for over 60 years. By Militello Realty, Western New York's premier commercial real estate broker. By Pool Mart. For any pool, hot tub, or patio need, Pool Mart is your fun store. By 412 Communications, the new gold standard for small business digital media solutions. By Envious Gameware, designers of high-end custom hockey uniforms, bags, and apparel, and the official uniform provider of Buffalo State College Club Hockey. And by Colvin Cleaners. For dry cleaning, wash and fold, tailoring, and more, Colvin Cleaners is who the Bengals trust to keep their uniforms the sharpest in the league. This is the Nickel City Hockey Network, Western New York's new broadcast home for college, high school, and junior hockey. Hockey has a long history in Buffalo dating back to the 1920s. The game has long been a part of the community. The Buffalo Norsemen were one short chapter in our local hockey history. The team played the 1975-76 season in the old NAHL, the same minor league that inspired the movie Slapshot. The Norsemen called the Tonawanda Sports Center in North Tonawanda their home rink, and while they didn't last long, the Norsemen had an awesome logo of a miniature Viking and a unique green and gold color scheme. Vintage Ice Hockey celebrates defunct teams like the Norsemen and many others, and this week is offering a special pre-order on Buffalo Norsemen jerseys. The jerseys feature fully embroidered logos, all striping is hand-stitched, and stitched names and numbers are available. Vintage Ice Hockey also offers Norsemen tees and hoodies, as well as apparel for many other defunct teams, including the Buffalo Bisons and Broome County Dusters. Norsemen jerseys are available only for pre-order through September 27th, so act now to secure your piece of Buffalo hockey history. Visit VintageIceHockey.com. And we're back here at the Buffalo State Ice Arena. Third period play underway here between the UB Bulls and Buffalo State Bengals. It is UB with the 2-1 lead after 40 minutes of play. Hello, I'm Aaron Elper, and joined in the call tonight by Ryan Tantalo. As we are a little bit less than a minute into the action here in period number 3, teams trading possession here in the neutral zone, sent into the Bengals zone, played with a high stick. That will be waved off. It is picked up by Cole Newman here in front of his own net. Bengals now looking to start that breakout through the middle of the ice. That pass just a little bit too far for Joe Lotempio as it's deflected away by a UB stick. And O'Donnell looks to start the breakout right away. Almost got burned by that play coming out of his own net as it was Alex Gosen letting the shot go from the near boards. Goes just off the post and out as Ryan O'Donnell almost caused some own difficulty for himself there. Almost gave the Bengals an opportunity, did give the Bengals an opportunity to tie this one. Just hits off the post and stays out of the net for him. Loose puck in front of the Bengals goal. It is eventually picked up by Luke Stotz, and he carries it across the blue line into the offensive zone. Tries to toe drag around the one defender. Can't keep a hold of it, but it's kept in here at the point by Hahn. Hahn's shot coming in from distance. Shot good, low, hard wrist shot there from the midpoint. Good save made by O'Donnell on that one. Loose puck here in the near corner. Eventually it's picked up by a UB player, and it's going to be Brady playing that one up ice. Loose puck in the neutral zone. Tyree finds a hold of it and sends it back into the Buff State zone. Referees ruling no icing on that play, despite the fact that he was right along the center red line when he let that one go. Alex Gosen finding control of a loose puck here in the neutral zone. Takes a good hard hit from Tulo, though, knocking him off of the puck. That allows UB to get it back into the offensive zone as we have 17:40 now left to go in third period play. UB enjoying a 2-1 lead here in this contest. They had the second goal of the game. The Bengals got the first one from Brett Sardina, but it was Matt Tulo getting the answer in the first period, and then his line mate Shane Tyree getting the go-ahead goal in period number 2. Through the middle of the ice, this is Tommy McCarron carrying it into the zone. This is one of the players joining the CHF team from the ACHA UB team. Unfortunately, his charge into the offensive zone doesn't materialize, and the Bengals counter quickly. Brett Sardina letting a hard wrist shot go from right about the same spot that he scored in the first period. This time looking 5-hole on O'Donnell. O'Donnell making the stop, hanging on for a whistle, and we'll have a face-off coming up in the UB zone with a little bit less than 3 minutes gone in the period.
I'd like to go back to that play of O'Donnell leaving the net and actually turning it over, almost costing himself a goal. He's been really aggressive throughout this game, picking the puck up behind the net and along the boards or even along the dot.
Bengals with an opportunity in tight there as it was Sardina with a shot from the low part of the circle, just a little bit too wide of the net. He had a lot on it as he was looking to go upstairs high blocker side on O'Donnell. Sardina looking to start the breakout himself in his own zone, but his pass is intercepted and picked up by Weingart as he carries it back into the Buff State zone. Sardina, though, finds his errant drop pass, then gets hauled down in the neutral zone. Bengals are going to get an opportunity on the power play as maybe a little bit of a lazy play there by Foresta. He could have taken a couple extra strides and made a play. He wasn't exactly in a dangerous spot on the ice, was Brett Sardina, but he got hauled down there just outside of his own blue line, and the tripping penalty called on number 21, Dylan Foresta.
Appeared to be a bit of a momentary lapse of focus right there, and these penalties are going to catch up to the Bulls if they keep taking them.
So the Bengals are going to get a chance here on the power play. They win the draw, but they can't get a shot on goal. Bulls manage to clear the zone, kill off the first 10 seconds of the Buff State power play. UB penalty to number 21, Dylan Foresta. 2 minutes for tripping.
Foresta, 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 3:19. Puck takes an aggressive bounce off the near boards in the neutral zone, ends up going right to a UB player. Takes advantage of that bounce and sends it back into the Buff State zone, where the Bengals will have to start their breakout to move it up ice this time. Brennan getting it up to Newman. Newman dumps it into the offensive zone, ringing it around behind the net. Now Joe Lotempio finding control of it there, just tries to play it forward. He had a man in behind the net. It ends up going right in on O'Donnell. O'Donnell falls on top of it and covers up for a whistle. Both teams making some changes now. 1:16 remaining in the penalty to Foresta.
This power play is going to be pretty crucial for Buff State, down one and with the man advantage and a short bench tonight. With their best players out there, these are the type of opportunities that they need to capitalize on.
Can't win that draw, though, in the offensive zone, and the Bulls get another much-needed clear, sending it all the way back down to A.J. White. White sets up that pass for Hahn as Hahn moves it through the middle of the ice. Sidestepping one man, but he's got two men on him in close proximity. Bengals keeping it in as it comes to the near point to Stanishewski. Dumps it in down low where he's got Captain Lotempio. Lotempio can't control that puck, though. Now an opportunity for Brady to move it out of the zone. Taking advantage of it, sending a bouncing puck in on A.J. White. White sets it up there for his defenseman as the Bengals look to start it up ice. Stanishewski along his own goal line. Gets it to Ryan Hahn, and now Hahn up ice where he's got Stotz, but Stotz had to reach for that one and has to corral it again there in the neutral zone. Eventually getting some help from Ryan Miller to get into the offensive zone. Stotz sliding that one across. Great save as doing the splits and throwing the glove hand up there is Ryan O'Donnell to rob Stanishewski. Point blank opportunity the Bengals create there on the power play. Maybe their best opportunity here in the last half of the game, I would say. But a great save, Ryan O'Donnell coming up when his team needed him with 23 seconds to go in the power play.
Fantastic glove save by OD. That's a candidate for play of the game in my book.
Ryan O'Donnell doing what he has done many times throughout his career as a UB goaltender, making those big saves that were such a big part of the UB run to the UNYCHL title back in 2020. That was a big reason why that happened was Ryan O'Donnell's work. And in the ensuing moments after he makes that big save, the Bengals are going to take a penalty, and that negates the last 4 seconds of the Bengals power play. And now the Bulls are going to get a chance in the power play as soon as the last little bit of the tripping minor to Foresta ticks away. And it's going to be the Bulls going on the man advantage, as it is Caden Mendick taking this penalty. And it's a tripping minor called against him. So going to be 4-on-4 here for a moment, and then almost a full UB power play coming up.
I spoke about the Bengals having a nice opportunity there with the man advantage. And now for the Bulls, this is really their chance to take a hold of this game and try and close it out.
Buffalo State penalty to number 6, Caden Mendick. 2 minutes for tripping. Mendick, 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 5:16. Bengals do get a clear, but it's right back into the offensive zone with Matt Tulo. He gets hauled down on that play, looking for a penalty. None coming, though, despite the fact that he made that plea to the nearby referee. Still setting up the power play are the Bulls, barely kept in there along the blue line. Shot then taken from the midpoint, bounces off a couple of bodies, and then a hand pass is called. And I think that's going to go against UB, or is that against Buff State? Where's the faceoff coming? Looks like it's going to be inside the offensive zone, so it's a Buff State hand pass they're rolling. Minute 29 remaining now in this UB power play. Now that they have the full opportunity with the 5-on-4 out there, we'll see if they can get their power play set up after this faceoff.
And a bit of a different power play unit now out there for the Bulls. They have Tulo, they have Bass out there who's been with the fourth line most of this game, and they also have McCarron. So switching things up a little bit, maybe trying to see if they can get the power play going.
And it's a 4-forward look as well from UB as you have O'Shea here at the left point. As a scrambled draw, Tulo eventually digs it out of his skates. Now a loose puck just inside the blue line. The Bengals do manage to get a clear on that one. Adam Brennan making sure it got out into center ice, but no further than the center ice red line. And now the Bulls come right back into the offensive zone, but that passing attempt is deflected up and out of play into the stands just below our broadcast position. So a little bit of a choppiness going on here with is it a minute 13 remaining in the power play, or is it 13 seconds? There's a pole in our way.
Minute 13.
Minute 13 in the power play, as face-off's going to be coming up to the... Where is the face-off coming up? There's some conversation going on between the officials, as there was a deflected pass along the blue line, so they're going to determine
exactly who caused that puck to go up and out of play. It didn't look like anyone made a call initially, so I'm not sure if they even know at this point. We'll have to see what they come up with. Neutral zone. This one's going to go in favor of Buff State, I guess. Determined that it was a UB player responsible for that puck going up and out of play. I'm not sure how they determined that, but I'm sure the Bengals don't mind the opportunity to just have that face-off in the neutral zone as opposed to that much closer to their own net. And they take advantage of it. They get a clear. Cole Newman sending it the length of the ice. Now a minute to go in the Bengals penalty.
And O'Donnell came out of the net once again with a pretty risky play off the boards behind.
Certainly not feeling any effects of the previous attempt that almost ended up in the back of his net. Hasn't lost any confidence coming out and playing the puck. And we'll see. I'm sure he will just continue to do that as the day goes. It has been kind of a hallmark of his game throughout this one, trying to be that third defenseman, as here he is again, quickly getting that puck up ice, looking to catch the Bengals in a change.
It can certainly be an asset if your goaltender can play the puck, but you just hope he isn't too reckless with it.
Bass slowly letting a shot go there as we have a couple players tied up in the neutral zone behind the play. The back referee blowing the play dead, and it looks like he's going to take both guys to the penalty box. Looks like that's McCarron and Ryan Miller involved in that little altercation. I think it's misconduct being handed out in either direction, so 2 minutes apiece would be my guess, and then shouldn't have any sort of change in terms of the manpower here. Should still be 5-on-4 in favor of UB when we get started up again.
UB just going to have to decide who their fifth skater is.
Seems to be a little. The UB thinks it's 4-on-3. Buff State thinks it's 5-on-4. There are 4 players out from each side. Now the referees are going to consult with each other. You see these early season games, sometimes you got to sort through some of the, make sure you're doing everything properly, and now they determine it's going to be 5-on-4, as it is Matt Cohen joining the play. Matt Cohen coming in number 6, and he's going to take the face-off for UB, squaring off against the Bengals captain, Joe Lotempio. So 29 seconds remaining in the original penalty, and then the 2 offsetting minor penalties to McCarron as well as Miller. UB winning control of the face-off, setting up their power play. This is going to be Pauly along the goal line. Gets that one back to the point, now set up for Foresta. Foresta with a little bit of difficulty there. He's kind of fanned on it, lost control, almost ended up as a rush in the other direction. Captain Joe Lotempio unable to get the speed going to beat him to the puck, and now Foresta just sets it up behind his own net as the last second ticks away in the minor penalty to Cole Newman. So now 5-on-5 as both teams has survived their penalty kills. Lotempio picking up a puck here in the near corner, gets a pass up ice, but it's up in the air, and Gosen has to play it down. That allows UB to find possession with Abbott. Abbott just settles that one down along the goal line, now looking for a pass, just cycles it down low. Stoats the first one to it there as he looks to break it out for the Bengals. Just sends it along to this near side. Now a battle for that puck. Ryan Hahn gets it to the point, and then eventually gets it out of the zone with some help from Lotempio, but picking it up and settling it down is going to be Cohen. Along the UB blue line right now, a little bit of physical play continuing as it's shot in from right along the center red line. O'Donnell with a little bit of difficulty handling that one, but does settle it down and get it behind his net for his team to start the breakout. And now it's going to be Felser there on the far side, taking a little bump from Stanishewski. And that allows the Bengals to find possession behind their own net. Ryan Hahn looking to start it up ice. Got a man quickly on him, though, and he has to change directions and start back on the other direction. Stanishewski gets it to the blue line. Gosen making sure it gets out, and then the Bulls quickly back into the offensive zone. It's going to give a moment for the Bengals to clear the zone, though, but that pass doesn't connect, and now LaCourcie sets it up in his own zone. 11:27 remaining in regulation. It's a 2-1 lead for the UB Bulls. That pass intended for a UB forward in the neutral zone goes too far for its intended target, so we're going to have an icing and a stoppage in play. Bengals are going to get 5 new players out there for this offensive zone faceoff coming up with 11:23 now to go in the period.
Buff State looking pretty good in this period, looking about as good as they've looked. They had a couple chances early. I mean, O'Donnell really the only reason this game isn't tied right now.
Mendick putting some pressure on down low on the defenseman, unable to keep it in the offensive zone. Now as the Bulls charge up ice and into the offensive zone, trying to sidestep that one hit was Foresta. Gets taken down on the play and then lays a hit of his own in the corner. The Bengals player down and slow to get back to his skates. Yeah, it looks like it's Adam Brennan. That's the second time he's had difficulty tonight as looked
like he took a hit from Foresta there in the corner after Foresta got knocked down carrying the puck into the zone. Didn't see exactly what happened there as it was a little bit behind the play, but Adam Brennan, again, a little bit of difficulty getting back to his skates as one of the key Bengals defensemen there has taken the worst of a couple of hits already tonight.
And the Buff State trainer heading out onto the ice for the second time tonight. And this is for a team that was down starters, and they have players playing through injuries. Really not a good start to their second game of the season. This is a little bit discouraging for this Buff State team, because I'm sure in their minds they believe that if they were at full strength and without these banged up players, that this game would perhaps have taken a different turn. But still plenty of time, and sometimes injuries are a thing you can rally behind as a team and sort of play for your teammates that can't be out there.
And if you think about it, some of the players that aren't in the lineup tonight, you look back at last week, the Bengals put 7 goals up on the scoreboard. 3 of those goals were scored by players that aren't here tonight, so certainly a little bit of a loss in the offensive department in terms of the capabilities for the Bengals. They're getting what they need from the defensive part of it, though. They're playing tight in their own zone. They're clearly trying to focus on the defensive side of the ice first, make sure they give as much protection to A.J. White as they can. And White himself has played an excellent game, keeping his team here in this contest. It's a 2-1 game. His team still has a chance, but he's going to have to continue to play strong in net as he has throughout here tonight. A little bit more than 10 minutes to go in regulation as the Bulls are camped out in the offensive zone yet again. This is Dario. Gets a pass back to the point. A little bit difficult for Martyr to handle. He has to retreat back to the point. Now gets it cross ice to his defensive partner, Weingart. Down low to Dario as the Bengals are again just trying to get it out of their zone at the moment. Hager with a chance there on the left side, but Martyr keeps it in. Martyr then circles the net. Turning and looking for a pass. Tries to go cross ice with that one. Might have been better served to just make sure it got down low, but the Bulls keep possession. Keep themselves set up here in the offensive zone. That pass just a little bit behind its intended target, but it's sent back in behind the net where Bass has it. Bass tries to play it in around behind the net. Brennan has it here. Good to see him back in the action. Not feeling too much of the worse for wear from that recent hit. As the puck comes back to the blue line, the Bulls keeping it in. Martyr here at the left point. Tempted that cross-ice pass to find Bass. Good play to get it clear for the Bengals. Mark Hager getting a stick on that one. Bengals are going to need a little bit more than clears and getting in the way of passing lanes, though, if they're going to come back here in this game. It's been the Bulls keeping their foot on the gas throughout.
I do like what Buff State did on defense, that they packed it in a little bit more, moved back, tried to kind of get in the passing lanes and let UB, who's maybe at this point, I think they might be looking just a little bit complacent and trying to move it around with less intensity than they had earlier in the game. But Buff State on defense is doing great things. On offense and transition, it hasn't been there tonight.
Yeah, it's been an awful lot of work just to get the puck out of their own zone, and by the time they get it to the neutral zone or into the Bulls zone, it's a lot less energy there to set up things in the offensive end. Certainly a testing game so far for the Bengals. As we've mentioned, they're without a number of their key players here tonight, and those guys that are on the ice right now are certainly being tested by a clearly much improved UB squad. Pass is intercepted there in the slot. Luke Stotz with a chance to move it up ice. Could be a 3-on-2 for the Bengals, but that pass hits a skate, ends up negating the rush before it even gains the blue line, and now it's the Bulls looking to counter. Pawarski along the side boards, gets it behind the net to Tulo. Tulo then feeds it out in front. Tyree just couldn't quite get a stick on that one before it was cleared off to the side. Then a shot comes in from the point, slowly through the crease, as Pauly let that one go. Another dangerous shot coming in from the point. A.J. White making the first save, getting some help from his defenders to clear that one out for no second opportunity. 8.5 to go now in regulation, as it's just a shooting gallery in the UB offensive zone right now. Tyree keeping it in, but the Bengals are going to get the clear, and they're going to have an opportunity with some numbers here again, but really strong defense in the neutral zone by Abbott to negate that rush, but the Bengals still get it into the offensive zone. Opportunity in front on the backhand, 2 chances there for Stotz, and the first save is made by O'Donnell, the second save also, and then he covers up as the Bengals try to argue for a penalty call on the potential hooking call on Miller earlier. Miller pleading for that call, but not going to get one here, as eventually O'Donnell covering that one up for a whistle. Now 8:07 to go in the period.
I thought that was a pretty clear hook from our vantage point, and the officials at center ice sort of explaining themselves. But
it's the second time I've seen the official. I think it's the same official in that same position in a similar type of play, where
about when you're starting to hear some of the calls for a penalty, the referee's actually making a signal to show what he saw the play as. So I believe what he was kind of saw him gesturing with his arm, that it was more of what the Buff State player did to initiate that contact with the stick, and that's why he didn't make that call. Not sure I agree with him necessarily, but he at least was trying to communicate it during the play to let the players know what he had seen on that play, but not sure I agree. As I said, you also wasn't sure that you agreed on that one either. It's going to be a chance in the ensuing play after that, off the post, then off the back of the goaltender, A.J. White, and scoring the goal is Dylan Foresta. He's been knocking on the door all evening. He's been one of the better offensive players for UB, and he gets rewarded here as he fires a hard wrist shot past A.J. White. It goes off the post and then hits White in the back before trickling in over the goal line, and it's now a 3-1 lead in favor of UB.
And UB's been waiting to get their depth pieces going. Foresta coming down from the ACHA squad. He's been on the second or third line tonight, moving around a little bit. And they got goals from their first liners, the first 2 goals. And finally, the depth pieces perhaps breaking through a tired Buffalo State defense.
Yeah, we keep on talking about how the Bengals have been battling defensively here in this one, as we have a penalty being called here. The Bengals are going to get an opportunity on the power play. I'm not going to make a claim that that's a makeup call, but that's where my brain goes immediately after
you took
that
the words right out of my mouth.
after that previous play there, as the Bengals didn't get the call there before. Then in the time after that, it was a UB goal. Now the Bengals are going to get a power play out of it, so maybe a little bit making up for it. I'm not sure we'll ever get an answer from the referee, but it's going to be a chance on the power play for the Bengals, and they really need it right now.
Whether or not it's a quote-unquote makeup call, it is a makeup call. It makes up a little bit for what just happened to Buff State, and hopefully they can respond.
Puck is covered up in front of the net by O'Donnell as Lotempio gets knocked to the ice. He's a little bit slow getting back to his skates. So the Bengals here, minute 54 remaining on the man advantage, but under 8 minutes to go here in this game, and they trail by 2 currently. Third Buffalo goal scored by number 21, Dylan Foresta. Assist to number 12, Tommy McCarron, and number 17, Brian O'Shea. Foresta from McCarron and O'Shea. Time of the Bulls' goal, 12:03. Buffalo penalty to number 25, Patrick Brady. 2 minutes for hooking. Brady, 2 minutes for hooking at 12:11. As the previous goal and penalty being read there over the public address announcement, UB takes advantage of another opportunity and gets their 4th goal of the game. It is now a 4-1 lead as the floodgates are now starting to open up, as the 4th UB goal has been scored, but it's also been followed up by a penalty. What were you seeing in there as we were reading the announcements? What happened on the ice there?
Well, Dylan Felser took the puck shorthanded off the faceoff from the UB zone all the way down, broke out, and scored. And then he ended up in the penalty box. And to be honest, I'm a little bit confused about what happened after the play.
Unsportsmanlike conduct is the call that he got.
Perhaps his celebration was
my
a little
guess
bit
would
over
be
the top.
taunting.
Something along those lines, I'd have to assume. And there's actually a 3rd UB player in the box. I believe Everett has stepped in, or Everett.
So maybe it's a 2 and a 10-minute misconduct and a 2-minute penalty. It's 5-on-3. That's that much I know for certain. And it looks like they're just trying to make sure they get it sorted out there at the scorer's box to determine exactly what the proper personnel are. But the key point there is it's now a 4-1 hockey game, as it was, as you mentioned, Dylan Felser taking it end-to-end and getting his team's 4th goal. And a lot of the knocking on the door that UB has been doing throughout this game, they've been getting plenty of opportunities, some posts keeping them from getting on the scoreboard in a couple chances, but back-to-back goals there. As in less than a minute, they have broken this game wide open. Bengals,
they played incredibly tonight shorthanded.
Yes, I would agree with that as well. Buffalo goal scored by number 14, Dylan Felser, unassisted. Dylan Felser with the unassisted goal at 12:28. Buffalo penalty to number 14, Dylan Felser. 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct and a 10-minute misconduct. Felser, a 2 and a 10 for unsportsmanlike conduct. The goal and penalties coming at 12-28. So it's still a 5-on-3 here for the Bengals as the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty has resulted in this 2-man advantage for Buff State. They're trying to get it set up here in the offensive zone. Ryan Miller with the puck in behind the net. Has some room to operate there. Gets it out in front to Joe Lotempio, but another save. Ryan O'Donnell getting the right skate across to deny the Bengals captain and keep this one a 4-1 hockey game. O'Donnell then taking that wrist shot from the point from Sardina, letting it go into his breadbasket and swallowing that one up. He is now clearly on top of his game. His team has given him a 3-goal lead, and he's going to do everything to make sure he makes it stand up.
And the longer this game goes on, the deeper we get into it, I think the more and more positives have emerged for UB. O'Donnell has continued his stellar play from really his whole UB career. The penalty kill tonight has probably been the strongest point of UB's attack or their strategy, with a 5-on-3 now almost halfway through. And the top line doing what they do, with Tulo and Tyree also combining for a pair of goals.
24 seconds in the 2-man advantage as we have a little bit more than 6 minutes to play in regulation. Bengals getting it set up with Stotz. Lets that shot go. Got deflected. It sounded like it hit a little bit of post here on the near side. Jankowski with the puck here in the corner. Stick handling to avoid the referee and gets it back to the point to Brennan. Brennan with a bit of trouble there settling it down. Eventually does. Gets it to Stotz. He lets a shot go. Stick save made by O'Donnell. Now the first penalty has expired as the Bengals still keep it set up here in the offensive zone. Brennan taking that shot from the near boards. It hits a skate and goes wide. Now Newman on the goal line on the far side. Gets it back to Stotz up top. Lets a wrist shot go. Blocker save made by O'Donnell. Rebound comes out to Newman. He settles it down as the second penalty expires to UB. And now they could get a breakaway out of it. Here comes Everett into the offensive zone. Lets the shot go. Glove save made by A.J. White as Everett was looking for that 5th goal of the game for UB. A.J. White up on top of that crease, making a good glove save to keep it a 3-goal hockey game.
It's a nice glove save, but once again, shorthanded. UB really not hesitating to try and break out. They've had a couple chances throughout the game tonight with a man in the penalty box, and that time Everett came out of the penalty box, and his teammates were really looking for him.
So now we're back to 5-on-5. UB enjoying a comfortable 3-goal lead here in this one. And it's comfortable because they've played most of this game in the offensive half of the ice. Makes it easy to protect a lead when you can do that. Here's Dylan Foresta with control of the puck. He has been one of the better UB players here tonight. He's gotten a goal here in this third period. Bengals, though, get the puck off of his stick and get it up ice to Lotempio. Behind the back pass intended for Miller doesn't connect. And now a battle for that loose puck on the far wall ends up coming out into the neutral zone, where it's going to be Ryan Hahn hunting it down. Dumps it in, tries to shoot it in on goal, just missing the net wide. Now Miller putting some pressure on that far side. But it's going to be the Bulls moving it up ice. And that's O'Shea into the offensive zone. Loses control, but it comes out to Everett. Everett takes a little bit of a stick check there from Stanishewski. No penalty coming, though, as UB sets up here in the offensive zone. Back to the point to Weingart. Sidesteps one man and lets a shot go. It hits a body and goes wide. Net now comes off of its moorings, and the referee blows the play dead. So a faceoff going to be coming up here with 4:24 now left to go in the third period. And it's a pretty comfortable lead here for the UB Bulls.
A comfortable lead as they send out their top line once again. And for Buff State, just a little bit of trouble, I think, keeping up with the consistent changes and the consistent talent that UB has trotted out there tonight.
Shot taken from the point. Rebound opportunities. It comes off the backboards. Tulo with a little bit of a difficult angle there, just unable to get that one past White. And the net comes off of its moorings again in the process. So 4:15 now to go in regulation. Face-off again coming up inside the Buff State zone. And tonight we are celebrating a little bit of local hockey history with these two Buffalo schools playing. Our game sponsor tonight is Vintage Ice Hockey, bringing defunct hockey teams back to life. This week only get a unique piece of Buffalo hockey history. You can pre-order a Buffalo Norseman jersey on VintageIceHockey.com. These are very unique uniforms in a very striking green and gold color scheme. Go to VintageIceHockey.com to check out the Buffalo Norseman apparel that's available there and to read more about this team from the 70s that only played one season of hockey here in Western New York, but part of the rich hockey history here in Buffalo. Puck in the UB zone as we were under 4 minutes to play in regulation. Matt Tulo picking it up inside of his own zone, takes a hit there along the far wall from Ryan Miller, but he stays on his skates. And now UB sends it back across the Buff State blue line. Bengals sending it back through the neutral zone as it comes to Martyr in his own end. Bulls sending it back into Buff State territory with 3:20 to go in regulation. Bengals playing it up this near wall. Jankowski's going to have a chance to move it up ice. Takes 3 different hits for his trouble. Ends up getting it deep into the offensive zone eventually. But just some light pressure here from the Bengals as this undermanned Buff State roster looks to be out of gas right now.
I think so. I'd say at this point the seconds are going to just continue to tick. And if Buff State does anything, they're just going to hope that UB doesn't score again.
2:57 now remaining in regulation as it's definitely been a tilted ice throughout here in this game. UB has spent the large majority of this game playing in the Buff State zone, and all of that time spent playing defense has clearly worn out the team in orange and black, and it's tough to even mount that comeback right now with the energy low in the tanks.
I'm sure they could get one across, but it's just at this point they battled so hard to just get to where they are that it's kind of hard to imagine them taking it another notch up with less than 3 minutes to play.
2:50 to go here in regulation as Cole Newman starts it up ice. Gets it to Brennan, but he can't handle that pass, and now it's sent back across the blue line. Daddario still a step off sides when he played that one, so that one is going to be an offsides call. 2:46 now remaining in regulation. Might be a little bit of a slow finish to this game as game appears to be caught in the mud a little bit with a lot of whistles in the last couple minutes.
And now at this point, with the outcome, I'd say all but decided. Knock on wood, of course. But what I'd like to see is UB maybe trying a few things, maybe getting some players out there who haven't had a ton of playing time. And I think both sides could say that, but especially UB, who has a bit of a longer bench tonight. I'd like to see everybody kind of get their feet wet in the first game of the season.
Cole Newman throwing a hit there as the physicality hasn't gone away here in this game, even though it's a comfortable 3-goal lead for UB. These two teams are going to meet again pretty soon. October 1st is meeting number 2 of the season between Buffalo State and Buffalo. That one's going to take place at the Northtown Center in Amherst, and we will have coverage right here on the Nickel City Hockey Network of that game. Be sure to join us for that one as UB with another opportunity in front of the net, and it's Andrew Daddario putting that one home. Got kind of a bouncing puck out towards where he was camped out on the doorstep of A.J. White. Got enough of that shot to get it past the Buffalo State netminder, and it's now a 5-1 hockey game.
Another new goal scorer as well for the Bulls, Daddario getting his first across of the season, and that's kind of what I was touching on. It's nice to see these deeper players off the bench, the third and fourth line, who have been battling all game. They've been creating opportunities and chances and finally getting one across. That's a huge confidence booster, not only for the players, but for the head coach moving forward and setting up his lines for the next game.
As we approach 2 minutes to go in regulation, it is now a very comfortable lead, 5-1 in favor of the UB Bulls. And it was Andrew Daddario getting the most recent goal, as he has given his team this comfortable 4-goal lead. 5th Buffalo goal scored by number 81, Andrew Daddario. Assist to number 7, Noah Lammy, as well as number 22, Josh Abbott. Daddario from Lammy and Abbott, time of the goal, 17:44. Bengals intercepting a pass along the blue line as Ryan Hahn stepped into that passing lane. Good hit, though, to keep him from driving in towards the net. Now an opportunity for a 2-on-1 for the Bulls. Bass with that dish in front of the net ends up getting deflected on its way there, and now we have a little bit of a conversation in front of the net and making sure that some of that potential bad blood can be there when these two teams meet in a couple weeks. Ryan Hahn looks like he has 2 different UB players that he's engaged with there, and both referees jumping in there to try to separate them.
That's the last thing you want with a minute and 17 to play, somebody getting into an altercation or a fight, somebody getting hurt or possibly kicked out of the game, perhaps some league discipline that would carry over. We don't want any of that. Of course, a clean contest is the goal each and every time.
I'm not sure we're going to get much more out of that little exchange than maybe a couple of 2-minute penalties. Try to serve a little bit of a notice here for the rest of the game, or maybe just make sure that the people that were involved in that altercation don't have a chance to get back on the ice again in this contest with a minute 17 now remaining.
Exactly. That's a huge part of the official's job, is getting the troublemakers off the ice when the game is out of is out of reach. And one thing tonight, the penalties for UB have been an issue. We haven't touched on it too much because they played so well shorthanded, including a goal. I think they killed off at least 10 minutes of penalties tonight. They had a game misconduct thrown in there. Really an issue that they need to clean up. It's going to get swept under the rug because of the 5-1 victory, but they cannot continue to commit 20-plus minutes of penalties a night and expect to win.
Yeah, and I think if you see more of a full Buff State roster when these two teams meet again in a couple weeks, some of those mistakes won't be as easy to sweep under the rug as they have been tonight, where they've clearly been had the manpower advantage just in terms of the players that are out there on the ice.
You'd have to expect the Buff State penalty or the Buff State power play to be much more proficient the next time these two teams face off the 1st of October.
Penalties on the play to Buff State's number 22, Ryan Hahn, and Buffalo's number 12, Tommy McCarron, each 2 minutes for roughing. Hahn for Buffalo State, 2 minutes for roughing, and McCarron for Buffalo, 2 minutes for roughing. Time of the penalty is 18:43. Last 40 seconds of regulation ticking away as the UB Bulls are going to pick up a win in their first game of the season. Buffalo State Bengals are going to drop to 1-1 on the year. As mentioned, these two teams will again be meeting October 1st. I said a couple weeks. That's next week.
A week from today.
That is next Saturday. It is not the next Bengals game, however. The Bengals will be hosting the University at Georgia here in this arena. That is Friday night. And then Saturday is the rematch here against the UB Bulls, as it is going to be the UB Bulls going to 1-0 here on the season as they pick up a big win here in the season opener for them, handing the Buffalo State Bengals a 5-1 loss, and UB now extending the edge in the overall series between these two schools. They've now won 6 of the 10 matchups versus 4 Buff State wins, and it was a winning streak for Buff State in this series coming in. 4 straight wins for the Bengals coming into this one. So that streak has come to a close with this 5-1 win in favor of the UB Bulls. Also to note, a little bit of revenge for UB, because it was this Buff State team that knocked them out of the UNYCHL playoffs last year. 4-2 score in round 2 of the playoffs. So a lot to be happy with if you're the UB Bulls here.
Certainly a long checklist of satisfaction after this win. You win your first game. It's a road win against your rival, your crosstown rival. You break a 4-game losing streak to them. And in terms of what actually happened on the ice, great performance from O'Donnell in net, who's been stable for them throughout the last couple of years. They had a goal from their top liners, and they also had a goal from some of their new additions. So really a well-rounded victory. And for head coach Cody Felser in his first game as head coach of the UB Bulls, a win. So congratulations to him. And I'm looking forward to next week when these two teams get a little bit of a rematch, and we'll see if Buff State can cut back into the UB advantage in the series.
Yeah, we talked about it at the outset of this broadcast tonight. This looks to be a bounce-back year for Buffalo, and they've certainly gotten things started in the right way. They didn't have quite the record or performances that I know that they're used to or expect to have during last season, and not surprised that they have started off on the right foot in changing the direction of where they're going as a program with a very, very solid performance here tonight.
And I think the people that, and the players or the people within the organization that have remained throughout the ups and downs, they knew what needed to change. That's exactly what I heard from the players on the bench before tonight's game. They said Cody Felser was a part of the team last year that fell short and lost to Buffalo State in the playoffs. And he came in as the head coach, and he knew what needed to change. They knew the type of players they needed to add, but they also knew what they had. They knew what their strengths were, and they played into those strengths tonight. Their goaltender was one of them. Their captain, Matt Tulo, was another. Shane Tyree, a top player and one of the leaders on this team. And I think things are kind of starting to come together and adhere within the Buffalo locker room.
5-1 is the final in favor of the University at Buffalo Bulls. We'll be back in a moment to put a wrap on the broadcast. You're listening to the Nickel City Hockey Network.
Hockey has a long history in Buffalo dating back to the 1920s. The game has long been a part of the community. The Buffalo Norsemen were one short chapter in our local hockey history. The team played the 1975-76 season in the old NAHL, the same minor league that inspired the movie Slapshot. The Norsemen called the Tonawanda Sports Center in North Tonawanda their home rink, and while they didn't last long, the Norsemen had an awesome logo of a miniature Viking and a unique green and gold color scheme.
Vintage Ice Hockey celebrates defunct teams like the Norsemen and many others, and this week is offering a special pre-order on Buffalo Norsemen jerseys. The jerseys feature fully embroidered logos, all striping is hand-stitched, and stitched names and numbers are available. Vintage Ice Hockey also offers Norseman tees and hoodies, as well as apparel for many other defunct teams, including the Buffalo Bisons and Broome County Dusters. Norseman jerseys are available only for pre-order through September 27th, so act now to secure your piece of Buffalo hockey history. Visit VintageIceHockey.com. And back one last time from the Buffalo State Ice Arena as we put a bow on our broadcast tonight. A 5-1 win for the University of Buffalo Bulls. A great start for their season here at the Buffalo State Ice Arena. And Ryan, let's pick some 3 stars here of the game tonight. Third star, I think we'll give that one to number 21, Dylan Foresta. He was excellent tonight, wouldn't you agree?
He was excellent, and even before he got his goal across, and the goal, which was a big goal, but what he really did tonight was grind it out, and a player who came down from a higher level team, you might expect him maybe to not come out with the same level of intensity, but he came out with 100% intensity and really, I think, proved that he's going to be a big piece of this team moving forward.
Second star, let's give it to the guy who had the game-winning goal, Shane Tyree. You could have given this one to a number of different players. There were a lot of really strong performances from the UB Bulls, but Tyree with the game-winning goal in period number 2, part of a very strong top-line performance here tonight from UB.
Yeah, so Tyree with that go-ahead goal, the goal that ended up being the difference. Not the prettiest, as we talked about, but they all count the same. And another thing is he's always looking for his teammates. He looked for Matt Tulo early in the game, which opened the scoring and really got UB going, got them rolling. He's a player that doesn't necessarily put up the same numbers as players like Tulo, but without him, the team doesn't have the same gel and the same chemistry. So I think that's more than enough of a reason to give him the second star tonight.
First star, we're going to give it to the Rock for UB, Ryan O'Donnell. He's always good in these matchups between these two schools, and while he might not have been tested as much as his counterpart at the other end of the ice was tonight, every time he needed to make a tough save, he made it, including a number of just clearly 5-bell type of saves. The one on the power play on Staniszewski is the one that stands out to me. He wasn't tested a ton, but every time he stood up to that test. Only just the one shot getting by him tonight.
And we talked before the game, you and I, about O'Donnell is a player who shows up in big games. He has some of his best performances when it really counts, and I think this was no different. This was a big game for UB. They had a lot to prove, a lot of revenge, a streak to break, and O'Donnell was really the rock that kept them in it. Yes, they fell behind early, but he could have easily given up and stopped defending his net, but he did the exact opposite, played harder, and made some incredible saves. His glove was really outstanding tonight, which stood out to me as the first star of the game.
So the third star, Dylan Foresta, number 21. Second star goes to number 13, Shane Tyree, as he had the game-winning goal. Then the winning goaltender is the first star, number 39, Ryan O'Donnell, as it is the UB Bulls moving to 1-0 on the season with a 5-1 victory over the Buffalo State Bengals. Buffalo State Club Hockey is sponsored by Ivy Leaf Pharmacy, a locally owned neighborhood pharmacy in Kenmore for over 60 years. By Militello Realty, Western New York's premier commercial real estate broker. By Pool Mart. For any pool, hot tub, or patio need, Pool Mart is your fun store. By 412 Communications, the new gold standard for small business digital media solutions. By Envious Gameware, designers of high-end custom hockey uniforms, bags, and apparel, and the official uniform provider of Buffalo State College Club Hockey. And our sponsors also include Colvin Cleaners. For dry cleaning, wash and fold, tailoring, and more, Colvin Cleaners is who the Bengals trust to keep their uniforms the sharpest in the league. Bengals are back in action on Friday night as they host the University of Georgia here in the Buffalo State Ice Arena. Game time for that one is 7 p.m. And then, as we've mentioned throughout the broadcast, October 1st, next Saturday, these two teams meet again as it is the Bulls and Bengals from Amherst, from the Northtown Center. That will be next Saturday night from Northtown. Chance for the Bengals to get a little bit of revenge from this one, and a chance for the Bulls to keep that momentum going, try to start a new streak of their own in this series.
Absolutely, and that'll be the home opener for this UB CHF team, so certainly exciting, and we're looking forward to a good crowd over at the Northtown Center. I'll be on the PA, so looking forward to seeing you on the call over there.
Ryan, certainly appreciate you joining the broadcast tonight. Ryan Tantalo, a new member of the Nickel City Hockey Network. Appreciate his assistance on the call of tonight's game. Fine work, great debut. Jeff Jazarowski, our expert videographer, pulling double duty here tonight, playing the music here in the arena and running the camera. Fine work as always, Jeff. My name's Aaron Elpern. Thank you so much for joining us for our broadcast tonight. That's all from the Buffalo State Ice Arena. Our final score, it is the University at Buffalo 5, Buffalo State 1. You've been listening and watching Buffalo State College Club Hockey on the Nickel City Hockey Network.